and welcome to another exciting show. And soon we'll be joining up with Food for Thought Radio in about 30 seconds. So tonight we have our guest is for the first hour, it is Nathan Allenby. Good evening, Nathan.
Hello there.
And we've also got Patrick, who's behind the scenes in Wisconsin. Good evening,
Hey,
Patrick.
good evening.
And in the second hour, we have David Exo talking about something happening in the sky. So there we go. So now the introduction hasn't started, has it? So we'll carry on regardless. It should start soon. Although it always catches me out every week. But anyway.
Wake up your mind, fill up your day. Oink, oink. Smart little bites that brighten your way. You're listening to Food for Thought Radio. Here at FFTradio.com. Club Moo, oink!
Good evening and welcome to our audience on Food for Thought Radio, also on Holy Land Radio and Holy Land FM. We're also on Telegram. Telegram. I think we're on Telegram, and we're on YouTube and Rumble and Facebook. And shortly, we hope to go on to X as well. So, good evening, everyone. And even though I've introduced everybody on both YouTube and Rumble, our guest tonight is Nathan Allenby for the first hour and David Exo in the second hour. We'll be talking about what's happening in the sky. And of course, our man behind the scenes is Patrick Channel. Patrick, shall we say? It's Patrick, and I've pronounced your surname wrong. And he was in Wisconsin, and this is Sunday, the 8th of March, 2026. Welcome to the show. And first in, I think, tonight, because the first person in can actually get a free two-finger salute and raspberry to a celebrity or politician of their choice. So, Sue Sparkle.
Oh boy, I hope it's good.
I hope it's a good one this week. Yes, we've got lots to select. There's a huge selection, and we've got Sam in as well. Sorry, Sam Guri. Well, let's say Sam. We've got Emro. We've got our transport minister in, Envro 4000. We've got DJ Beto. We've also got, who else we got here? We've got Mark Anthony. Hello, Mark. Hello, mate. We've got Sam. Thank you very much for giving a report. Sound is good on YouTube. Thanks, mate. It's much appreciated. That's it. And we've also got Alice Gorgeous. So there we go. And I missed a person out. Here we go. We got Matilda. So there we are. Now, Nathan, we was talking earlier on the phone about a number of things, and I believe you was, well, it's up to you. We mentioned something about currencies. We mentioned I'm slipping the turd in your pocket. So there we go. So over to you, mate.
You go right ahead. I mean, so this is a conversation, and I'm delighted to join it.
Excellent.
I always like to encourage people to feel that they can make a difference and that the future is in their own hands. So I don't want people to feel that, they're passive observers of things like geopolitics, where, real events happen a long way from their lives. They feel the ripples a long time after events have happened, and what can they do?
That's
The
right. Well, the
truth
first
is,
thing, if I can cut in there, sorry for a moment, the first thing we can do, Sue Sparkle says, a very, very wise choice. Trump and his fan club, please, for the salute. And that's it. And could I put one in for Benjamin Netty Nutty Knickers? For him as well. So there we go. So that's it. Sorry to stop you, but that was a very important
Good
part
choice.
of the show. Yeah, so I think it's a good choice. Sue, sorry. So sorry, Nathan. I won't cut in again. I do
that's quite
apologise.
right. So the thing is, we can actually change our own lives. We can make a difference. We don't have to just be passive and watch things happen. And, you know, the everyday things that we do in our lives are where we have the biggest influence, where and how we spend our money.
Yeah.
People don't realize the power that they've got. Indeed, that's right. So, what they need to do is express that in a way that makes a difference. They need to understand how they can use that power to shape the world around them rather than just be consumers. You know, they want to be in an engaged relationship with the community. So let's start talking about what your money actually does and what it can support. So, one of the things that people have become quite conscious of is that the corporate world does not exist in their interests. It's not really working for your benefit, it's working to make a very small number of people relatively rich. So, one of the things I'd like to talk about is the importance of small businesses. Because this, if we're going to start talking about currency, this is where everything starts. What you can do with your money. So myself, I like going to a shop where I actually know the guy who runs it, and he's my friend. And if I ask him to get something in, he will. And I go down there and we have a chat, and it's personal. I don't really like going to a large store where where the people don't like working there. They feel hard done to, and it's a bad experience for me and for them. So one of the things to realise is these large stores make people unemployed. So, for example, if you were to look at the growth of Amazon, I've heard a figure quoted that for every one job Amazon created, it destroyed 2 jobs in the rest of the economy.
Spot on.
And
Spot on.
and the money that comes from making those people redundant goes to make a very small number of people like Jeff Bezos very rich. And then there's another dimension to this that people don't seem to realize, and this is that, and this is true not just of Amazon, but all of big tech. Jeff Bezos' uncle was the head of the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. He started that, and he was the head of the US Atomic Energy Commission, which isn't about nuclear electricity, it's about nuclear weapons testing. So clearly, this is Mr. Deep State, and that's Jeff Bezos' uncle. And DARPA, that his uncle started, created the internet, and then the internet makes Jeff Bezos' company that makes him, one time the world's richest man. So there's something going on there. This isn't good. So
That's
if
right.
we keep small businesses alive, small businesses make jobs in which ordinary people like ourselves work and find a living. If we want to have an economy of real jobs for ordinary people like ourselves, then we need to maintain the number of small businesses. Now, one of the things we saw during the COVID lockdown was in this whole drive for cashless payment and electronic money, the chain stores, the corporates are allowed to stay open, but the small shops have to close.
That's right.
It's all about driving people towards cashless payment and towards spending their money in corporate chain stores. You can see where this is going, what it's all about. I'm sure I don't need to join the dots for you. It's all about effectively cutting our connection with the sort of economy that we participate in and have some influence over.
You're right, and I'll tell you something else. Is local councils have driven small businesses out because a perfect example. You can go there to see it yourself. Waltham Abbey, and what's happened? That used to be a very vibrant place. Used to have to queue to get down the high street. It's very oldie worldy, and it had a very very good market there. And the market now is like a bad car boot day, car boot sale. It's horrible. There's about half a dozen stalls, if that. And what they've done,
Parking charges?
You take the words out of my mouth, and not only that, they've allowed a large supermarket where every little helps, and a German supermarket, Lidl, and they're at one end of the high street with free parking, which is a little tidy step out, and then they've got another out of town shopping centre, the other end of the high street. So what does it do? It drained the high street, and you go there any day of the week now, and all it is nail bars, Turkish barbers, loads and loads of cafes, and it's like a wet Sunday afternoon. It's empty. And there used to be a greengrocers that sold Kent cob nuts. You got them from a farmer from Kent.
Yeah.
Gone. You can't get cob nuts now from Kent. Butchers, gone. All the little shops that made up the community, gone. And I only go because my mate, Dr. Fleetwood, has got his shop there. But, it's sad. It's really, really sad. And it's really run down as well. No banks there at all now. There's just closed up. It's closed up shops, boarded up shops. And the only thing that attracts people to the high street now is a co-op and a Greggs. There's Greggs everywhere. That's it. It's sad. And but I'd like to just mention something here. Somebody's put something very, very moving, because I want to start. Oh no, what's happened? It's broken down. Can you just give me? I'm going to change feeds. It happens every week. Okay. Oh no, I won't be able to share.
All right, if you need to, yeah.
No, it's R.A. Cardo Blake TV. I said I'll have to read it out. He said, "Thank you for all your kindness and thoughtful wishes and words. You all helped with getting my girlfriend out of hospital. You made my dreams come true." Because his girlfriend was in hospital the other week when we were on, and we all tried to sort of put some positive thought there. And I'm hoping to do a series of shows on healing, how we can do healing and things like that. So that's another thing. But thank you very much for that. It's very moving. It's much appreciated. Much appreciated. And I wish I could actually show these. What's going on here? So I wonder if I can. No, it won't let me. Right. I'm afraid it's going to wipe out all the other things in chat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change feeds. This happens every damn week, so it won't be.
Yeah, it happened before.
Yeah, bloody thing. Excuse my language. Right. It takes a bit of time for me to change the feed.
Actually, when you start doing it,
it's not that long. Talking while you're busy.
What's that? Nathan?
Eric, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Nathan.
Right, that's it.
Normal service has been resumed.
That's right. I've just changed the feed over because what happens is it just locks up. You can't get chat on the bottom of the screen. But the trouble is it wipes out all the chat from the time that the screen locks up. So I'm sorry, everybody, but it's coming up on the corner here. And Sue Sparkle has said, the market in Blackpool has gone and it's now a food hall and several stores selling nothing anyone needs. That's right. all the stalls, veg, butchers, fishmongers, etc., gone. It's a bit like Hertford, which is the capital, obviously, of Hertfordshire. You go there now, and all it is bistros, cafes, and things like that. And when you look at the menu prices, it looks like someone's phone number. Jacket potato or a la carte potato, £14. That type of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you can go and get it around the market for a fiver. And
So part of this, of course, is the council puts up the rates or the charges. So we have a covered market in Newcastle. Dates back to 1830 or something, and the charges the storeholders have to pay keep on going up and up, and it
That's
makes
right.
it difficult. And so eventually, only the businesses that can charge more survive. The old-fashioned working-class businesses and the fruit and veg stalls and all this kind of thing, they all just disappear. They get strangled. And then, of course, there's the parking charges. And if I go into say Newcastle upon Tyne, you can only pay by phone.
Oh,
You can't
that's
pay
it.
for.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I can't do that, so that just doesn't
Nor
happen.
can I. And I'll tell you
No.
something else. At Lee Valley, you used to park your car up and you can walk around freely. Oh, no. You've got to pay by phone now if you park your car up. And you pay by phone. So all the time you're in the Lee Valley walking around, you're looking at your watch thinking, blimey, that's just going to charge me £1 here, £2 here, £3 here. So you end up, if you spend a couple of hours walking around in these beautiful woods, with a bloody great bill for a couple of quid to park your car. Why should you?
So these initiatives are never local. If you see the same thing happening everywhere, it's not a coincidence. And clearly it's a strategy, and we can see how it works.
Oh, yes, definitely. But you go to the supermarket and you park for free.
So let's just try and talk about how we can make a difference, because this is the crucial thing. Now, we can talk about alternative currency, but let's just start talking about currency in general. So young people say, and when I say young, God, I mean middle-aged. I mean people who are aged 40. A lot of them never carry any cash at all. They only pay for things by their phone or by card sometimes. Well, excuse me, there's something where you could make a difference straight away. I try and tell them that, say, for example, they go out for a drink. Well, they pay for it by phone. So imagine you go out for a session and you stay out till 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, every time you pay for your drinks by phone, Google gets to see what you've bought and how much you paid for it. And actually, Google gets to see where you drink, who you drink with, gets to know how often you drink, whether or not you drink too much. It profiles your behavior. Do you really want Google to know all of that about you? And all of this, of course, and your bank knows, and all of this is going to make a social credit history.
That's right.
Now, eventually, all of this will turn against you. It'll be used because Palantir and all the rest of it, we've seen how these things work. The whole point about gathering this data is to be able to influence people's behavior. This is effectively what the Google advertising model is. There's no point in having a profile on somebody unless you can make people, for example, buy things that they don't really want. So, they might know that you want a certain thing, and then you'll get an advert at some strange time of the night, which is sent to you at a moment when they have calculated that you will be most susceptible to being influenced. This is a time that you're likely to be sitting at home watching the TV and you might make an impulsive purchase or whatever. They know how to influence your behavior. You don't want them to know that how you feel and where they can apply pressure to you. You don't. Some people don't seem to get this, that it's wrong to give other people too much information about who you are, what your habits are, what you think, where you go, who you know. I get quite upset with political activists. I say at a more junior level, people who go to stand in the park, who pay for everything with their phone or with their card. Not only are they telling Google, about their own habits, they're also telling Google about everyone that they associate with. Because, of course, you know how these things work. It doesn't just gather information on the person who uses it. It gathers information on the people around them. And so there's been enough research published about this. Edward Snowden published information about this in 2013. It's amazing how people forget and let this stuff go out of their mind. We should realize that all of these payment methods are not created by us, for us, and in our interests. They're corporate tools. And certainly, the evidence of the lockdown, for example, but the evidence of much more besides, shows that these are driving small businesses out of business. And they're destroying the jobs of ordinary people.
I agree
How can we do something about it? The simplest thing anyone can do is draw some cash out and carry it with them. And start, because I'm talking about a lot of people here, start using real cash. It's not a big deal. It's not hard work. What have you got to lose?
And I'll tell you something else. Use an old-fashioned thing. This is called a diary. Don't need batteries. Nobody knows what's in there. And this is my Bible. I keep it with me. I know what's going on. I've got appointments, everything. And that only costs me, what, £3.50, £4, £4, which is about $5 a year. Pencil, simple.
So
I don't have to do that.
I carry a little pocket notebook. I've not got it on me at the moment, but I've got this.
As well, yeah.
So you buy something like 10 of these for £1 at Pound World.
That's right.
And they slip in your pocket. I carry a pen as well because that's useful too. And if I find something interesting, I write it down. This is a habit I developed maybe about 30 years ago. Hey, it's great for taking girls' phone numbers. A bit old for that.
I'm exactly the same. I get these ones from Pound World, and they last a couple of months. And when I've filled up a page, I rip it out. Shopping list. It's a little tiny thing. And I tell you, I went to Argos. I bought something in Argos, and I wrote the number down, and I gave it over to the woman. She said, "You're the first person that's actually written it down. Most people just show me their smartphone." I said, "Well, this is easier, isn't it?" And she was absolutely gobsmacked that I've actually written it down. There it was. She went, "Oh yeah, it's easier, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, I don't have to worry about you're not getting a signal or anything like that. There it is." But what I've really got up my ooter this last week is that a couple of weeks ago, sorry, it's last week. No, it was about 2 weeks ago. I renewed my car insurance, and I do it through one of these on what they call an insurance TAR. I change my insurance every year, and I just get the cheapest because I don't trust insurance at all. And I won't mention the name, but it's very confusing. Type one of these sites which finds the cheapest car insurance for you, and they give you a £20 token, which you can spend in, any lot of places. If you go use their services, and I've used their services for many years now, 3 or 4 years, and they've always been very good. Anyway, I usually got a £20 Halfords token, which I could spend in Halfords, Anyway, this year I bought my car insurance. No, you have to download an app. I didn't realise this beforehand. If I'd known beforehand, I would have gone somewhere else. You have to download an app onto your smartphone. I don't want apps on my smartphone. I just want it clear. I want it nice and easy, because when I'm out, I just want to make a phone call, receive a text message. That's all I want it for, Anyway,
So one of the
what
things
happened?
people don't tell you is every time you download an app, apps gather information from your phone.
Well, this is the thing.
Every company that wants you to download an app, they want to become part of the data economy, gathering your data and selling it on
Oh,
to
yes. Well, this is the part of the story I'm coming to because I downloaded this app. Now, my attitude, I do not want news coming on my smartphone or anywhere. If I want to find something out, I will find something out. I don't want BBC crap and, latest car news. I don't want that. If I want to find something out, I will go and find that item out. I don't want propaganda crap coming through and all this fear porn and rubbish like that, So anyway, downloaded this app. Where's my token? No token. So I said,
after all that,
so I sent them I said, could you, my token, where is it? And then the answer I got back is, oh, you can download it on your iPad instead of your phone.
what?
So the person hadn't actually read my message. So I then sent another message saying, look, I want my £20 token, please. So I can get rid of this pointless app that's cluttering up my telephone. Please.
Mm-hmm.
Got back. We can't find any records of your transaction. So I've now sent them full details of my transaction, and I'm waiting for an answer tomorrow, hopefully. But the trouble is, it's the frustration, the hours I've spent on it. I'll never go there again. So the word of warning, if you go to confused, if you get confused, you'll have to download this Poxy app on your phone. I just can't be bothered. In future, I'm not going to go.
So I just refuse to do it. If they dangle some carrot, I'm terribly sorry to hear about your experience.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know that beforehand. I only found out afterwards. That's the thing.
So with my insurance, this sounds awful, but I've got kind of like a relationship with an insurance broker, and I've been buying my car insurance with them for the last 20 years. And you might think, oh, well, you get it cheaper online. I've tried looking online, and this broker is giving me a competitive price. Sometimes they're £10 more, but you know what? It's for the sake of £10 or £12, and that's what it's amounted to in this research. I like the fact that I can deal with a human being, and if I have a problem, if I need to make a claim or the other stuff I need to do, this broker deals with it for me. and it's God, that's worth money. Really, it's if you actually need to claim on your insurance, which God, I haven't needed to do in 20 years, well, it's brilliant. There's they take all the stress away. Anyway, so apps, don't touch them. It's all part of the day.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want it on there. And and if I'd have known beforehand, you see, the thing is, I didn't know beforehand. They didn't say, in order to claim your prize, your £20, you have to download an app, because I'd have thought, sod it, I'm not going to buy my car insurance from here, and I'll go somewhere else. It's only afterwards that I found out, because I will not touch apps, because I'm going to keep my smartphone at home and have a dumb phone when I go out. Seriously. Because I don't use my phone when I'm out. I use my phone more at home than I do at home when I'm out. So,
mind you, smartphone or dumb phone, the phone tracks you. It's like an ID beacon that broadcasts your location. I try not to have a phone at all. I try to text it. If I've got a phone, I try to keep it turned off. Have you noticed the way?
Off.
have you noticed the way modern phones, you can't remove the battery? That's not a coincidence. Because on every phone, they've got like an inertial navigation system. There are gyroscopes, solid state gyroscopes in your phone that record the location of the phone even when the phone is turned off. So if you have your phone off and you're walking about, it records your movements, and then when they turn the phone back on, it sends them off to Google or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's great to have a phone, and it's great to have it turned off. And as you say, leave it at home. If you don't really.
Right. Well, I have my phone with me in case my car breaks down. That's basically it.
That's it. That's the one.
But any other time, I mean, my phone is off. And I don't put a live phone next to my body. I don't want that radiation. Thank you very much. And I've seen people shove their mobiles down their front pockets. So what's that doing to their wedding tackle? And there's women that put it in their bras. I mean, what's that doing to their boobs? I mean, huh?
If they put it next to their heart, what's it doing to their heart?
Precisely.
Because clearly, if it affects your reproductive organs, it's affecting your organs. You know, if you put it next to the most important organ that keeps you alive and is susceptible to electromagnetic interference, because of course we all know that the electrical circuits in your heart are important. The rhythms in your heart are what keep you alive.
That's right.
It's amazing how you have to tell people what ought to be obvious things. Anyway, getting back to the history of money, which I think is actually fascinating. Many people don't realize that shops used to make their own money. And they used to make their own money until about 1970. Oh, yes. So I recorded a talk about this. It's on Rumble. And I think this is a really important subject in the terms of the conversation about CBDCs. So if we want to fight CBDCs and the control that they will have over our lives, we have to establish alternative forms of money. Now, it's very difficult to talk to people about things that ought to be obvious, like, for example, not getting tracked. Let's talk about Bitcoin, shall we? Let's do the things that a drug dealer would do. Do you know how many drug dealers made a fortune out of Bitcoin? They put some money into Bitcoin because they wanted untraceable transactions, but as an unexpected bonus, they scored big when the value went up. So and it's the same with other forms of alternative currency. We're about to enter a period of hyperinflation. If you put your money into something that is a real store of value, the price is only going to go up. I gave a talk about alternative currency and carrying silver about 3 years ago. At that time, the price of silver was about £18 an ounce. So you could buy a silver coin for, it was with VAT, it was about 22 or something. Anyway, the point I'm coming to is look at the price recently. So it's now about 80 an ounce. So if you put your money into alternative currencies, it's a good thing for you. A lot of people think, oh, well, I can't put all of my savings into alternative currency. It's too precious and it's too important. I agree with you. I'm not asking you to put £30,000 or £100,000 into some currency that you don't understand. But why not buy £10 worth? Something that's an experiment that you can just see what it's like, how easy it is to buy, how easy it is to use. I'm not asking you to risk a lot of money that might actually be a personal financial disaster if you lose it, but why not have an experiment with something small that's manageable? See how easy it is to buy it, see how easy it is to use it, and if it works, you've learned something. Hey, it might turn out to change your life. Imagine you got into Bitcoin in 2011. You'd be rolling in it today. I mean, look, even if you put money into gold or silver, say, if you put money into silver last April, you'd have tripled your money.
You're right,
Come
but there's
on.
another, but there's somewhere else. Oh, by the way, up near your area, Nathan, Jojo Gizmo said a couple of department stores in Newcastle, Bleakstroke, Gateshead, had their own money. Trouble is, you could only spend it in their store. So that's
Yes.
very interesting. But there's another thing the late Dave Starbuck used to talk about, and I bought a sovereign, gold sovereign, in 2008 for £80, 80. That's now
Wow.
worth £800.
It'd be worth more than that, I'm sure.
Well, it's going
Go
up,
check
and
out.
but the thing is that good thing about gold is it's real money, sovereigns, and he always said, don't buy blocks of gold or plates of buy a sovereign. That is internationally known. And as what was his
There's
name?
no VAT on gold coins.
There's no VAT, but there is on silver if you have it sent
So,
mail order. But if you pick it up at the store, there's no VAT.
I mean, it's good to have money that's tax free. So, if it reduces the complications and the friction on buying and selling your coins. So, I'm going to suggest that, God, I shouldn't say this, but let's do this. Let's think like a drug dealer. Oh, I shouldn't say this because
Oh man, yeah, let's think like one.
but seriously,
I'm on water at the moment. It's freaking me out. This water. Sorry. Anyway, carry on.
So the point is, really, you want simple, untraceable transactions. You want your privacy. You want nobody else to be able to control your money. The exact opposite of this will be CBDCs, where they will be able to track every transaction you make and control the transactions that you're able to make. So they'll be able to prohibit you from buying certain things you want. Not talking about drugs here. I don't use drugs, of course. But no, exactly. We're too old for that. No, the reason is because they're treating things like the food that you want to be an unauthorized purchase. You've got more than your allowance of this type of food this month, or anyway. The point is, CBDCs ultimately will control our lives, and they won't just control us. They will control the flow of money and the type of businesses that continue in business. And by limiting the types of businesses that exist, they will limit the places and that we are able to go to shop and the type of things that we're able to buy.
Well,
Now, go back to this alternative currency. A very good point that your commentator meant about the department stores used to make their own currency. So the way it worked was, if, for example, you wanted credit, say you were going to buy something, you would get a loan from the shop. They'd give you some money, and they would give you that money in their own currency that could only be spent in their shop. So say you took out a loan of 10 quid or something, they'd give you that money in their money. And then you could spend it in their shop. Now, this is good business for them. And the way it worked is shops made their own money because it was good business for them. So let's go back 2 centuries. So originally, the Royal Mint didn't make money for everyday transactions. It made gold money for rich people and a little bit of silver money, but it didn't make pennies. So, for example, if you were a labourer, say a country labourer, and you got paid, I don't know, threepence, well, nobody would give you any change. Supposing you got paid, I don't know, sixpence a week or something, there were no pennies. So how did you spend your sixpence and get change? Now, what happened was towns in Britain started making their own currencies because they realized 250 years ago, most people never made money transactions, or certainly not on a regular basis. Money transactions were a relatively rare thing for ordinary people. It was only during the enclosures when people got driven off their own farms, driven to work in mines and factories, that they started being paid in money. Before that, people used to keep tallies and accounts of the exchanges and the transactions that they made in their lives, and they operated by a system of barter. Mainly, they operated by a system of kinship and by, how can we call it, trust.
Yes.
So if you lived in a village with people, you had to cooperate with the other people who lived there, and you worked together for your own mutual benefit. And that's how exchange worked. And the system of shops and retailing and that didn't exist until people got forced into towns and cities by the enclosures which drove people off the land. It was only in something like 1798 or 1797 that copper money, pennies and halfpennies started to get made. Before that, they did not exist. So if you were a labourer who got paid sixpence, you would not be able to spend your sixpence and get any change. This was a real problem. So the first thing that started was, for example, pubs made their own money. Actually, the people who went on and minted the copper money for the mint, it was an independent private enterprise foundry in I think, Birmingham. Before they made copper money for Britain, for the government, they made brass money for pubs. And this was pub money. So if a labourer had, say, his sixpence wages, he could buy a meal and a pint in a pub, and the pub could give him change. That enabled the man to go to the pub and make a purchase.
That's incredible. So
Now,
what years are again? 18. You did mention the year that the first time copper.
The pennies started to be created in something like 1798, which was halfway through this mercantile revolution, the industrial revolution, the revolution of the enclosures and driving people off the land. That was halfway through that process. It's incredible that they made people go on that long and they didn't give a thought for how people were going to live. And this is part of the reason why truck money existed. Truck money is where an employer paid you in his own currency that could only be spent at the company store. That's called truck money. And that came into existence partly because there weren't any sixpences to give the workers to pay them their wages either.
That's
So
incredible.
no, so businesses created their own money. The history of money shows that whoever creates money, it's in their interests. So we know that banks create money, and it's in the bank's interest to create money. When businesses like shops create money, it's in their own interests. And one of the things I would try to emphasize is, say, for example, you got your local high street to create its own money. Now, there was an experiment doing this at the time of the Occupy Wall Street movement. So at that time, something like 20 local currencies were created around Britain. Most of those didn't keep going, but the Brixton pound is still used in about 100 shops in Brixton.
I didn't know that.
And anyway, there were a load of others. There was the Lakeland pound, and I think that a few other different areas in Britain created their own local currency. But the one that's kept going is the Brixton pound, which is a shame more didn't keep going, because actually, in every case where you create your own currency, it is in your own interests. The businesses that create their own currency make money out of it in the long term. They make money out of it because there's mutual benefit both for the person that created it and for the user of the currency. So one of the things I would try to emphasize here is the variety of different currencies. So, for example, working men's clubs created beer tokens. This was a currency for the pub. And say, for example, if you got up and sang a song, they would did a turn or something like this on the stage. They would give you a pint for it, but they wouldn't give you a pint. They'd give you a beer token so that you could buy a pint when you wanted. And there are a lot of things, say, for example, the Working Man's Club organised a day out for the kids to the seaside. Well, the kids would have a beer token so that they could buy their sandwiches. It was a currency.
Like luncheon vouchers. Do you remember luncheon vouchers? I don't know if you. They went out.
Yeah, I've never used them, but I've seen them.
I
never got paid.
I think they phased. Well, I've never heard of them for years, but when I first started work, there was luncheon vouchers around, and you got so much pay. And what it was, the trouble is, it was so bugger all. I mean, you could just about buy one half of a sandwich with it. It's so little amount.
I saw them used in the 1990s. That's the last time I saw them.
That was it. It's about the 1990s. I think they were introduced in the 60s, and it was a government idea so that office workers could get a lunch or something. I don't know, but anyway, they were phased out. But
civil service got paid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that regarding currency now, on the Paul English show last Thursday, there was a chap called, and this is what he likes to call himself, the F space in space farmer, the F in farmer. So that I'm sorry, that's what he likes to call himself. And he was talking about a currency that cannot be spied on, cannot be got into, that you'll be able to use, and the Inland Revenue and the Rothschilds are very worried about it because it's you can make transactions without Big Brother knowing, apparently. Now, I'm only going by what has been said, and it's called BSV. B for Bertie, S for Sugar, V for Victor. And I'm hoping to get this chappie on the show because he said you find out about it on a site called Orange Gateway. Now, I've gone on to Orange Gateway, and I'm from the old world. Unless I've got dosh in my hand, then I haven't got it. That's the way I look at it. I've got money in my hand, and that's it. And I looked at it, and it might as well have been written in Swahili or Chinese because I sort of went. Ugh.
So can I say something? Can I say something to demystify it slightly? So I hadn't heard of this before today, but I went and looked it up after you mentioned it to me.
Am I
And
that thick that
so,
I didn't understand it? Because I didn't get it.
well, I don't know about that, but so BSV stands for Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. So, Satoshi or whatever is the inventor of Bitcoin. And the original vision was that it should be an anonymous, untraceable currency that's completely decentralized and not controlled by banks. And so, as you know, in about 2015, Epstein and the Rothschilds got into Bitcoin and reprogrammed it so that it was no longer anonymous and it was no longer untraceable. And it was controlled by the banks. So in 2018, there was another hard fork, I think they call it, in Bitcoin. And they created this BSV, which is a return to the original vision. So BSV is Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. Now, I don't know how it works, but all I'll say is it's worth a lot less than ordinary Bitcoin. But hey, that means it's a good investment, perhaps.
Well,
Don't put a lot of money in,
well, that's right.
but
I was
try.
hoping to. That's right. But sorry, I didn't mean to talk across you there. But what I was going to say is, I'm hoping to get this fella on air to put that website up on there. He guides me through it so everybody can see it, and I want to on air buy a £12 token or whatever you call it. And I won't obviously show my debit card, but I will buy a £12 one, and you can go onto something called Hand Cash as well. So this is the thing. Now I don't know whether I'll be able to doing that tomorrow or not because I haven't had feedback yet, but I'm hoping to arrange that so that it shows everybody how you actually do it. So if a Dumbo, when it comes to this sort of stuff like cryptocurrency, I'm a Dumbo at it.
You and me both. Yeah.
So I've got a real wrong generation. I want him to guide me through it on air so we can, and I've got a caption scanner now where we can see it and then explain it and then go through it. And apparently it sounds, I'm impressed with it. I'll get the idea of it. If shopkeepers take this and farmers are beginning to take it as well, we can buy our food from farms and pay in this BSV. And the slogan for it apparently is a dragon.
Right.
So
can I mention a couple of other things? So there's a bloke called Lyndon Farrington who's been trying to promote a particular type of alternative currency called Beep. Anyway, I don't know much about this, but it seems different cryptocurrencies are popular in different parts of the world. So, for example, now, if you can imagine, there are a lot of migrant workers who work in the West and then send remittances, send money home to their families. Now, banks are terrible. They make it difficult. They demand a lot of documents. They make a lot of charges. If you use cryptocurrency, it's instant and almost no charge. Very low charge by comparison with the bank. And so anyway, if you go to Nigeria, a lot of foreign workers from Nigeria, they send money home by Bitcoin. In the Philippines, workers tend to use more Beep, Beep or Beep Extra. And Beep apparently has a lot of advantages over Bitcoin in that it's a lot faster, the transactions take less processing power and happen much faster. So anyway, different cryptocurrencies are popular in different parts of the world. And this guy, Lyndon Farrington, who I recommend people try and contact, very friendly and approachable guy, he has been suggesting this could be a very good thing for high streets, as Beep can be incorporated without any real additional friction into the electronic point of sale, EPOS, that most shops in Britain use. So it's the same as making a transaction via a Visa card or a different type debit card, or you can use, Revolut, or you can use whatever. It's your opportunity to use a different type of currency, and it will process through a shop's ordinary till without a lot of extra work. So it's very attractive for businesses if they can increase the number of different ways that customers can pay them.
Precisely, precisely. But it'll have to be small businesses. And I mean,
Yeah,
apparently, I found out that you can. I realise you're a vegetarian, but for meat, well, no, you can get vegetables. I think what's happening is farmers are now realising they can sell directly to the public, and they're sending stuff that needs to be refrigerated through on refrigerated lorries. There's a delivery services that have deliver with refrigerated lorries, and it's not that much more expensive. In fact, it could be cheaper than going to the local supermarket. I mean, I know that you can get clotted cream from Devon and Cornwall, which is very, very nice. You know, and you know, um, but I think that quite honestly, we need to destroy the powers that be by denying them finance because that's their
we
lifeblood.
need to make
Finance,
finance work for us to support the
precisely.
type of things that we want in our lives. We don't want to become passive consumers who just take what's given to us. We need
Mm.
to develop relationships with the type of businesses that are supporting the type of life, the type of goods, the type of food that we want, that we choose. This is all about becoming more actively involved and having an engaged relationship with the businesses we want to cultivate.
That's correct.
So,
That's correct.
so there's a long history of alternative currency. It all continued until 1970 and decimalisation. And decimalisation in 1970 was the turning point where all of these alternative monies disappeared. As the pennies changed from D to P, suddenly all the businesses would have had to make new coins, and they
That's
just
it.
didn't do it.
And look what
So
happened is the biggest rip off ever because they rounded things up. An old penny was round, big. What did they make it?
yes, it was.
A small penny. I mean, if an old penny rolled under psychologically rolled under a table, you get on your hands and knees and pick it up. If a new penny does, you think, oh, sod that. So
It'd be hard to
psychologically, it's
find it.
devalued it. And when you
It
think about
marked
it,
it. So one of the things I'd like to point out, and this is really significant, let's talk about the war in Iran and the sudden
yes,
rise in the price of oil.
oh
Now,
yes,
this is going to affect us in a big way. We can remember the 1973 oil price crisis, where overnight in
okay,
September 1973, the price of oil was tripled.
that's right.
This huge impact. So there'd been inflation before then. Inflation had started with decimalisation in 1970. Actually, you could say inflation started in 1970 with America going off the gold standard. You could say inflation started in 1970 with a huge expansion in private credit. But the 1973 oil price crisis marked the start of hyperinflation, and we had a series of about 3 or 4 years where inflation was over 25%. That's what we can expect now.
I agree with you.
Now, what
I agree with you.
that
And
go?
if I can add something into this, I know for a fact that because we were saying this on the telephone today, um, because I actually worked at an oil refinery at Stanford Lee Hope, not on the oil refinery as such. I was designing a building there. It was a building that had to be literally bomb proof, because if those storage tanks went up, this place had to still keep operating by shutting down different valves and things. Very interesting project it was. But I found out from the old boys there that the main oil tankers go into Rotterdam, and then the oil is decanted into smaller oil tankers because Tilbury is a very, or Stamford Lee Hope is a very shallow port, and these little tankers go backwards and forwards across the channel all the time delivering oil. And what happened in 1973 is there was ordered to drop anchor and not to deliver oil. So there's loads and loads of small oil tankers through the channel that dropped anchor so that people would see that there's no tankers coming in. And the rumours started, well, there is a shortage of, and it was done deliberately so that the government could make more money with the tax they get from oil. And the oil people got more money because they tripled the price of oil by making out there's a shortage when there wasn't.
Cynical manipulation and exploitation.
Yes.
And Traffic, bought up this commodities trading organisation, bought up the world's fleet of oil tankers so that they could do exactly that in recent years. So one of the things we've got to make people aware, there's about to be this massive rise in fuel prices and domestic energy prices. And one of the things that's happening now is domestic gas prices in Britain have risen 95% this month, and in fact, in the past couple of weeks. This is going to happen again. It's going to happen more. This is just the start. Now, what we've got to remember is we've got a system that has been a market system for energy in Britain that was designed by the banks for their profit. We should also remember that the energy suppliers in Britain increased prices to domestic consumers when the wholesale price of gas fell by half. The price of electricity fell in line with the price of gas, but they put the prices to us up because they wanted to increase their profit.
Yes.
One of the things that's going to happen now is they're going to increase the price to consumers to increase their profits and do it under cover of the increase in world energy prices. It's going to be an excuse for them to rip us off. The price is already higher than it should be. That's enough to absorb the increase in price that's just happened on the world markets, the overcharging that we've already had.
All engineers,
anyway,
I believe, because the thing is that, remember what the World Economic Forum said? You'll own nothing and be happy. And this is
we'll be robbed of everything, and you have to put up with it. You can be happy or you can be unhappy, but you're going to have it.
Look at China. Well, that's right. I mean, look at China under Mao. This is what communism is, and communism always has an environmental theme. Every communist regime has an environmental thing, so the people will live in poverty and say, "Well, we live in poverty because we're saving the planet."
So can I mention a couple of points that we discussed earlier, because I know you've got your next point, and this chemtrails thing is vitally important. I want to hear it too. But so the US has seen the price of the dollar was supported by forcing people to pay for energy in US dollars. Over recent years, Iran and Saudi Arabia have started selling oil for other currencies such as Chinese renminbi and euros. The United States found that the value of the dollar was dropping due to this and due to other things, like other commodities such as grain no longer being purchased in dollars. By taking the Gulf energy production facilities out of operation, they're taking out the suppliers who were selling in currencies other than US dollars. Now it'll only be possible to buy in US dollars.
Yeah.
The price is going to go up through the roof, so people are going to need even more US dollars to pay for their basic energy needs. This, of course, is going to increase the value of the US dollar. It's going to be very good for the US dollar. it's going to be really shocking for the countries that need to pay for their energy. They're going to have to take out debts in US dollars with US banks, which is good for the US banks and the US financial system. There's also going to be hyperinflation over the next few years. It's been mentioned already that the only way the US could support its huge financial debt, its national debt, is through inflating it away. So inflation effectively reduces the real value of the debt. So this is a very convenient thing for the US government to deal with their overspending, the accumulated national debt. It effectively gets inflated away. And of course, it increases US control over all the countries in the world because now the US financial system will once again be able to control energy supply.
That's it. You're spot right on. And another thing they're doing, you see, people say, right, I'll burn wood pallets. Oh, the local council is stopping people from having chimneys now. You've got to be all electric, which will be powered by silly windmills, which won't give you bugger all, and solar panels, which don't work in the winter. It's just bonkers.
It's not bonkers, it's cruel. It's cruel. They want us all in a vice. Listen, I'm really anxious to watch this next segment about chemicals. Atmospheric aerosols, that's what it's called.
So by the way, FFT radio is now working okay, I believe. So thank you very much to the person that told us. It's much appreciated. I think it was Jojo that told us. Thank you very much. Now, please keep with us, Nathan and David. Are you there? Are you with us? Cooey. Cooey. Is he there?
Hello.
Hello, mate. How you going? All right.
Give me 3 minutes to move upstairs. 3 minutes, and I'll be with you.
Okay. Now, if you want to shove your camera on, you can, because we'd have three on there. Any more than three on the scene, it gets a bit cluttered. But three's all right. So.
Well, and I appreciate Nathan wants to hear this, and I think everyone should hear this. Not that I've got any great revelations, but it's a really fundamental thing to what's going on in our lives at the moment. It has done since 1999. So I'd appreciate if Nathan listens and wants to chip in with some points. But I'll move upstairs. I'll be with you in 3 or 4 minutes. Okay.
Excellent. And I think this is what makes the show. To me, it's a chat between friends where we're examining things and expanding on ideas and things. I hope to.
So if I've got 3 minutes, I'll tell you what I'm going to mention.
Okay.
There's going to be hyperinflation. If there's going to be hyperinflation over the next 3 or 4 years, if you have got savings in the bank, they're going to fall by half, at least by half. You've got to find a store of value. Now, the simplest one is something like gold coins. There's no VAT on gold coins, which makes them very simple to purchase. Unfortunately, the difference between the buy price and the sell price is about 5%. But the point is, it's better to lose 5% on that than to lose 50% via inflation. If you can find something else that's better, have a look around. My advice is try buying a small amount of whatever it is you're interested in, like just an ounce of silver or just quarter of an ounce. You can get quarter of an ounce coins, or buy a small amount of Bitcoin or some other form of cryptocurrency if you want to dabble. Don't put a lot in, just put a small amount that if you didn't get it back, it wouldn't matter. Have a look at the alternatives, be aware. But staying put with money in the bank doesn't look like a good option. Not for the next 4 years. Please get well informed. Don't just take my advice. Investigate for yourselves, please. But carry cash. One of the things we must do is reduce the power the banks have over us. If you've never carried cash before, take out a small amount of money. So recently I've spoken to a couple of people who've got into debt There was a friend of mine who lost their job, and well, you know how it is. The bank's giving you a card, and it's really easy to spend money, and you don't keep track of how much you've got in the bank. Well, all of her bills in the house were on standing orders, and one of them sent her into an overdraft. And then the next thing you know, she's got charges, and the bank freezes all of her payments. Every direct debit that's going in, they don't pay it, but they put a charge on for a defaulted payment. And suddenly, poor lady's got a huge debt, thousands of pounds, which she hasn't actually spent any money. Most of it's bank charges.
Mm.
Now, the great thing about carrying cash is it's what I call the Las Vegas approach to managing money. So you can see how much you've got, and when it's gone, it's gone. You can't spend any more. If you go to Las Vegas, you only take as much money as you can afford to lose. When it's gone, you don't lose any more. If you adopt that approach to your personal housekeeping, you take out as much money as you can afford to spend. You can see when it's running out, and then you stop spending. It's one approach. It's the approach that always worked in the past. I know I might be an old fogey, but
I agree with you.
it's a thing when banks control your life, and
It's
you can have
simple.
run into app. It
What-
happens quickly. It's not one person I've seen this happen to. I can think of several people I know. A disaster is closer than you might ever think.
You're spot on, and I think that Sixblade has got it right. Evening, Steve. I think he's got it right. Reducing or eliminating government instantly reduces the power of banks and political corruption. I agree with you, and I've taken this phrase from someone else who gave it to me, and that is, we should ignore government out of existence. They're not fit to be there. We don't need government. We've been programmed to have this sort of someone making decisions for us. No, we don't. They can go because quite honestly, it's the usury scam which is causing a heck of a lot of problems. And until we've got to the head of the snake and dealt with that and got rid of governments, the same old pantomime will keep going on and on forever, unfortunately. That's the way I
So I
see
mentioned
it.
I'll mention one other thing. I recorded a video on alternative currencies. It's on Rumble. I recorded it about August 3 years ago. I'd recommend people to have a look. I discuss the issues I've just mentioned in a bit more depth. One of the things I'd like to say is if you know anybody who runs a small business, try to find out their accountant. If you know an accountant who works for small businesses, try and talk to them about alternative currencies. Small businesses will adopt alternative currencies if their accountant tells them that they can use them. If your accountant gives you advice, yes, I know people who use alternative currencies and they've made it work. That's when a business will pay attention. Speak to the accountants. If you want to go out and try and promote the idea of alternative currencies, like, I don't know, we just mentioned a couple before, BEEP and BSV, go and speak to an accountant who deals with small businesses. Try to talk through what it really means in practical terms. Go out and be an ambassador for alternative money.
Hmm. That's a
That's a
good
real
point.
challenge. There might be 2 or 3 people. I might be talking, if there's 500 or 2,000 people watching this program, there might be 2 people who go out and do something. But I tell you what, those people will make a huge difference.
You're spot on.
Even one person, you on your own, just deciding you're going to follow this up, do something, you'd be surprised the impact you could have.
I agree with you. And also, I've found that the truth groups, in my view, and I know I'm not, I know I'm generalising and I'm being a bit wrong here, but the ones I've come up against are doing exactly what the government social engineers want them to do. Exactly. They're playing straight into it. They're not
Yeah,
using
about
this. They're
problems
not
and never
thinking.
about solutions. I gave this is one of the things that I'm glad you mentioned that, Chris, because the thing is, if you just talk about problems all the time, you
Correct.
never talk solutions.
That's right.
It's the solutions we need to be working on. So that's one of the things I talk about in the video on alternative currency. But the solutions have existed for a long time. They've always existed. We just stopped using them.
Well, hang
We
on. This
can stop.
video, give it to us, and I'll shove it in the links below at the end of the show tomorrow morning, if that's all. Is that all right, mate? So people
That's
be able to see
brilliant.
it.
I think I've
Because
given it to you before, but I'll give it to you again. Yeah.
well, you see, the thing is an army never won anything when it's depressed. An army has to be positive. We're going to win, even if they're outnumbered. We're going to win. But the thing is
And we're
that
going to
our enemy is outnumbered. We outnumber the elite thousands, perhaps millions to one. And it should be, places like if you go to the local council, they say, here, we've only got 5 minutes to speak. No, I'll speak for as long as I want. We pay your wages. So shut your gob up, listen to us. And if you don't like it, there's a door there. That's the way it should be. We should crack the whip and we should say jump and they'll ask us how high. That's where it should be. And I like what they're doing in Ireland. MPs, they're refusing to serve MPs in local shops.
Great. So these are kind of weapons that we can use. Alternative currency is a weapon in the sense, weapon tool. We're actually trying to do something constructive. We're trying to build something. That's the truth. And so I have put a lot of effort into trying to research the ways that we can actually build something up. I believe that there's room for building local banks. The trouble is, we've actually got to free ourselves from the commercial banks, which work against the interests of small businesses. If you can create your own bank, your own currency, any of these things where you get control of your own money, it's a very profitable thing for local businesses to do. And of course that profit actually benefits us. That's a profit that's being retained in our local community instead of going off to make some billionaire richer. It instead makes our local shops more diverse and better businesses, more vibrant. It means that they can afford the stock, that they keep more variety, that they have better goods. That's what it means when our local businesses thrive. It means that we have better, more prosperous towns.
I spot right, and I'll tell you something else. Have you noticed the elite always use benevolence as the carrot every bloody time?
Yeah.
And it's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation because they're helping African people with squirting crap into their shoulders, into their arm rather. And you look at all these charities. I don't give a penny to charity. I'll give to some poor sod on the pavement who's sleeping rough. Yes, I'll give to them, but I won't give a bloody penny to a charity unless it's a very, very small one that helps. I don't know, wonky dogs,
one that you know about, one that you actually know.
One that you know that wonky donkeys. That's another one. Wonky donkeys. But have you ever known a charity to stop being a charity because it solved the problem it was set up to solve? Think about it. I don't have any charity that stopped and said, well, we try to help the starving donkeys out of Mongolia and they're not starving anymore, so we're going to close shop now. No!
Chris.
Hello, Patrick. Hi, mate. You're back. You've been milking the cows?
Yeah, no, actually, I went to go get our maple sap and cook it down to maple syrup. That's what I did. I was listening the whole time, though.
Because apparently Food for Thought Radio went off here. I think it's back on air again
Did
now,
it?
so we're all right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have Holy Land Radio covering you. So.
Oh,
in the
that's
meantime.
well. We can rely on Holy Land Radio and
I'll
Land
drop off the
FM.
camera.
Well,
Nathan.
actually, I've just had a message from David, and he says I'm here, and to prove it, he's arrived. So, shall we hand over to David? And please keep on air, everybody. So, Nathan. Oh, no, actually, you can keep your camera on if you want, Nathan. 3 of us on here is perfectly okay. And David, do you want to put your camera on? It's entirely up to you.
Let them have the screen. Let them have more of the screen. I'm happy to listen.
Because Peter don't want to see my ugly mug, you know. Hello. You know. Best one was Sir Les Patterson. He sort of have a dribble down the side of his mouth. Good evening, everybody. Anyway,
That's a blast from the past.
A blast from the past. By the way, thank you. That was Nathan Allenby, and he's a regular guest on here, and I'm sure we will want him back soon. Very interesting. And now we hand over to David Exo. So, David, welcome to the show.
Hi, Eric. Thank you. And I'm just, if you don't mind, I'm going to adjust my laptop, very cheap camera view, to get my fantastic book collection in. Yeah, I mean, you've got to see.
I thought it was a bleeding. I thought there was an earthquake where you lived.
Yeah, right. No, sorry. All right. Okay, I'll do it more delicately. Damn, you see my book collection. Never mind. All right, I'm
yes,
joking.
I would see your.
Okay.
I would see your book collection.
Yeah.
Would you like to see? Would you like to see my stopwatch collection? Pocket watch collection.
Do you know what? I would be interested. I don't want to divert off here, but I mean, I've had a few relatives die recently, and one of them lent me a 1905. It's not a stopwatch. What do you call it? So you just said it.
Pocket watch. Pocket watch.
Pocket watch.
Pocket watch.
Yeah. So I got left one. So hang on, wait. I've just seen a very nasty sort of Germanic thing on yours. Or is it Germanic?
Well,
so what's that one?
Yes, it is the commemoration of the 1936 Berlin Olympics. But if you look carefully,
people wouldn't love it.
Well, no. This is quite safe because you notice there's a star where a certain mark should be, and this is actually a fake. And you can get them off of eBay for about 10 quid. It's from India.
Eric, you've destroyed. I really thought you might have got that from maybe, some. Who's that guy? The fantastic guy, the black guy that actually ran and had a chat to Hitler. Jesse someone.
Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens.
Yeah. And
yeah,
so
there's one. There's the Swiss pocket watch there. The Swiss one. Swiss movement.
Oh my life.
But I'm a pocket watching. Oh yeah, I love pocket watches. I really do. Yeah, but also like wristwatches as well. But people think, hang on a minute, he's got a wristwatch and a pocket watch. What do you need 2 for? It's because I'm a nutcase. Just and that's what I say to people. I say I got a pocket watch and a wristwatch because I'm a loony. Next question.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the next question will be from these idiots that go, well, Eric, have you got a sundial? Right, because they're that stupid.
I have actually, yeah, I'm like sundials. But
all right.
Shall we go up to the spirit in the sky? It looks skyward because chemtrails.
Great song.
The first time I actually noticed them was in 2009, and I was walking back because I live on a hill, and I thought, what the bloody hell's that? And it was over to the south. All these lines, and when I came back, I noticed my neighbour looking up at them. And it's the first time I've seen them, and after that, they sort of disappear from people's consciousness, even though they're still there. You say, look at those lines. You go, oh yeah,
yeah. And that's the point. But it sounds like Eric, you had an intelligent neighbour who even spotted these things, and that's half my point about the era. So you said 2009. I'm going to take us from, hopefully in 45 minutes, I'm going to take us from 1999 and the sort of 9/11 era up to date now in as quick a way as I can possible, as long as I can get these images up, and if Patrick will chip in and perhaps help me a bit to get these images up on the Rumble and the wider platform. But but 2009. So I mean, the fact that you mentioned, and this is like a sort of a wider point, the fact that you had a neighbour that looked up and saw these things, even in 2009, is amazing, because we have people today that still are clueless, and it's sort of I mean, there's many conspiracy theories we're into, all these sort of things, UFOs, chemtrails, sneaky chews, all this other stuff. There's many of these things, but the one thing that's always confused me is why the F can't you look up in the sky and see that it's totally different to how it used to be? I mean, Eric, you and me were born. Are we born in the what? You late? I'm guessing. Are you late? I'm early 70s, 1971. What year were you born?
I was born in the 50s, so I'm quite a lot older.
Oh my! Oh, I didn't know that. You're so young. You're so young looking.
Oh, thank you. Oh, blimey, you're going to get a Christmas card, birthday card now. I mean,
With a tenner in.
I'm bleeding decrepit. I am,
Well, but no, but actually, no. It's still a really good point. Is the fact that hang on, how come that certain people seem to notice this and certain people don't? Because let's say, okay, so I'll adjust my argument from you from the 50s, me from the mid 70s. Then I remember looking up and I saw, both we saw planes that used to go across but let's take 19. You'll remember this, Eric. 1976 was
I
a
remember it.
year where everything. But what happened, Eric? Then what happened? Everything dried up because it was the hottest year
Hottest year. It was a
in
very,
many
very
years.
dry year. And
Yep.
the most amazing thing was they got some Indians over who did a war chant or did weather chant, and it rained. It actually rained.
Are you making
it
that
was a
up?
drought. No, I'm not making it up. It's true. I remember it
Right.
clearly. They actually got some I'm not sure if they were from India or whether they were American Indians. I can't remember. Somebody in chat will probably remember. And they did this chant, and it rained. Seriously,
My
and
God.
it was a
No offense.
drought.
All right, I'm not being culturally biased here, but we'll be that desperate then because I remember my first memory of that. I was in a park with so I would have been like 5 years old, and I remember
Mm,
the council from this is South Birmingham, place in Worcestershire where I was, and the council came in, and me as a kid, I used to collect sticklebacks from this park in this place where I sort of grew up. Sticklebacks, the little little mini fish, and the
mm,
council came in because the park pond, a huge pond, was so smelly and stagnant in 1976. They hooved it up with this big lorry, and I was like to my mum, I was like, the poor fish, the poor fish. So I remember all this sort of stuff happening, and
mm,
they sucked the fish up and all this. So it was a very strange sort of era. But okay, so the segue in to this point is, but still, then from that era, I remember looking to the skies, and you still had, as you remember, Eric, clear blue
mm.
skies, right?
That's
But
right.
you saw the odd trail here and there from an airplane, right? And yet, as a memory for us as kids from seeing these lovely clear blue skies, then something changed. Okay, and the year was okay. So here we go. So let me try and get these
But
images
the
up.
year before,
As
1975, we had frost in June, and the prices of food went up because it killed a lot of the, lot of the farm food, because they had a frost in June, and it was a nationwide frost in June in 1975. So
Right.
that's
Okay. So for a start, how you remember that, and are you sure? Because that then you
yeah,
debunk the whole sort of thing to do with Bill Gates, because that you're saying that weird weather shit, excuse me, went on in this mid 70s
yes,
that they're claiming has only gone on now. So are you sure that happened?
positive it happened. I remember it. Yes, and
Right.
yes, so it's 1975. They had a frost in June, and I think it was a nationwide frost, and prices of farm produce went up because of that, because it killed a lot of the farm produce, and we had to import a lot of stuff, which it wouldn't make any difference nowadays because we import most of our food anyway. But then it did. But 76 was a very dry year, and 77 was an extremely cold winter, and
Wow. Right. You're yeah.
81
You're
was because it was the planets
snow
and the
snow.
heavens. Mm,
Right. Well, right. Was it right? Was that well? 81. I remember going. Unlike these lightweights that today are sent to school and then called off going to school. That I remember in
mm,
81. We had huge snowfall, so we had these huge snowbanks, and we were still told to get into school. I walked a mile to school on my own, climbing up these snowdrifts, and so that's how hardcore we were in the 80s. Anyway, all right, let's
that's
carry on.
right.
Sorry, Patrick. Patrick, are you around to help me out, or are you not around? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
All right, thank you. Okay, all right. So what I want to do is I want to say that let's my idea. So we just mentioned the 70s in a way. Then we had clear skies. If you remember the 70s, you're as old as me and Eric. You remember the 70s, clear skies, and the odd sort of and what I would call a proper vapor trail. So
That's
what
great.
vapor trails? Yeah, but let's clear up what these are, right? So these are jet engines and they only produce a vapor trail, essentially ice crystals, when they hit a certain point in the atmosphere. So they're either climbing to leave, in this case, a British airport, or they're coming in, and there's a very thin layer of the point where they come in. If they're flying very high, most planes fly as commercial planes, it's 30,000 feet. So they're coming in or they're leaving, and for a short period they might then drop they might then deliver, sorry, a very short sort of residue, which is essentially it's ice crystals. It's just the heat. It's nothing to do with pollution. It's all bullshit. It's to do with the fact that the jet engines are creating for literally 30 seconds a minute or so, a little bit of ice crystals due to the atmospheric conditions. Well, the when you so let's see what I then started seeing in as well as Coast to Coast AM, which of course Eric and Patrick, Coast to Coast AM started around about 1999. People started going, what is this stuff? So on these conspiracy or alternative radio formats, we began seeing a discussion of what on earth is going on. And literally at that point, no one knew. We'll wait till you see what happens when I set up a website in about a year's time after. So let me show you what we were dealing with in 1999, 2000. So again, before 9/11. And 9/11 is an interesting point because these two conspiracy things in my mind sort of linked. So we had 9/11 in England, Britain. We had a very interesting forum called 9/11 Truth UK. I can't remember the exact title. And by about 2005, there was some astonishing discussion going on about, well, what happens what happened in 9/11? Because the actual output of the discussions of what happened in 9/11, it took a few years to come out. And it's the same with the chemtrails. They laid a little bit under, but from what I remember, then we had a bit of overlap between the 9/11 community discussing things and this chemtrail stuff. Although the chemtrail stuff has always been a little bit suppressed compared to this. So, okay, so Patrick, help me out here. I want to put up, I'm just going to show you what's interesting. Everyone looks today, I mean, Eric, on your shows, I think on Paul's as well, a couple of people mentioned chemtrails and they mentioned seeing them and stuff, but it's a different form of aerosol that's generated today than was back in 1999. So let me try and let me try and share something. If not, Patrick, help me. I want hang on, let me just if maybe Patrick can do it faster than me because I'm trying to right. So
Which ones do you want?
I'm after sort of
you sent me a
I mean
bunch.
I know I wanted to label them.
In
Okay,
order?
so I'm after the one. Well, yeah, if you the bottom one, the one that I want to show that involves a crisscross, it says photo 2026 0308 and 27 hyphen 12 .jpg. So if you can get that one up, I'd appreciate it. And it shows a crisscross in pink. Can you see that one there?
It's in pink.
Oh, no, I'm saying the actual residue of the planes is in pink. Yeah, it's I mean, I'm pretty sure I sent you this photo 2026 0308 20, and then it says 12.jpg.
Okay.
Let me try and send it you again. Right, let me let me try and send it right. Hang on, right. So let's try and send it. Yeah.
I've got a bunch, but they're not labeled that.
They're not right. Right. It's not okay. Right. Bear with me. Let me see if I can do it myself. Right. So Control C. Let me go from my directory here.
I might be able to
Right.
help
Bear
you.
with me. Yeah. I mean, I could if I sent them to you, Eric, you might manage. Right. So I'm going to do screen share. Right. But that's right. Select Windows screen.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. I've got Alter Summit here. I'll tap over to presentation. Right. If you put screen share now, it may come up.
Right.
And if it doesn't, I might be able to do something. So here we go.
Yeah. Right. Mute. I don't know what it's saying. Hang on. Not now. Always block.
Well,
No idea what that means. Right.
You've sent me pictures in an order. I can put those up in the order that you tell me. There are 9 total. So which one of the 9 total?
Well,
Right.
I've gone over to
Bear with me, right.
presentation mode. So I've just gone into presentation. So they all come up. They should come up on the screen.
Yeah, Patrick. Yeah, I have sent it you. It's called Green Valley, Nevada, and it's on Telegram. And it's just an example.
Which one is it? There are 9 of them.
Yeah, but no. I'm saying it says green. It's the first one I sent you. And it
okay,
says
I've got that one. Yeah, I've got that
Green
one. Hold
Valley.
on.
Yeah, that's just an
Yeah,
example, right? That's
just give me a second.
yeah, no problem, no problem,
I'll
no
load
no
it up
rush.
on my screen. And,
I'm happy you're helping. That's all, right?
yeah,
Okie dokie.
sounds good.
Yeah, something's happening. Here we go. There it
That's
is.
the one. That's the one. All right.
Yeah.
So the point I think that I wanted to make to people is that, well, if you look at take a look at that, and everyone's now going to go, probably especially younger people, may say there's no way that was in our skies, around about this sort of 2000 era, or even a few years on, and that. But I've got to say that that is not the best example. But in fact, around about that time, you're going to go on to hear about how me and a guy called Andrew Johnson, we hired a thing to try and trace aircraft. What's that word, Eric? I told you yesterday. A signal thing from airplanes. What was that thing? A
Oh,
transmuter. You remembered it. Now I've
Transponder.
forgotten it.
transponder.
Transponder,
Transponder.
right? Good, well done, both
Yeah.
of you. Well done, right? So yeah, me and Andrew Johnson. You'll hear in about a couple of minutes how we hired a gadget, and this was way before internet. Where these days you can go and you can go, oh, what aeroplanes are above me? You get one of these airplane apps, and it's going, oh, this one's going to Malaga in Spain, this one's going to Australia, and stuff. But back in this era of sort of 2000, 2003, you couldn't get that. So we hired one of these, and we trace some of these things. But the point was, at that time, this sort of stuff was, we were waking up to skies a lot like this, and I wish I could have found it. I spent an hour today trying to find one of the images that I think Andrew Johnson took from Derbyshire in the UK, and literally it showed outside his house, and he got up, bless him, at 6 a.m. to take this shot. At dawn, it showed sky, horizon to horizon, but literally in what I call this chemtrail lattice formation. And how people didn't notice it, but people don't. It's like many things. I mean, I'm trying to think of the equivalent. I mean, shenanigans by the certain bankers in our area, or the tribal people, right? So people don't notice that sort of thing. But even more blatant when it gets to this sort of thing, that people don't notice what's happening to their skies. People don't notice when there's mass infiltrations of certain types of people that really probably shouldn't be in your village, are suddenly there. So I'm saying, as humans, we're a little bit strange. We don't notice when things change around us. And really, we should all be paying a bit more attention. Now, are we all mind controlled, or are we all a bit scared and we just don't want to notice these things? I don't know. But anyway, so my point is that the technology has shifted. So in the late 90s, early 2000s, we literally saw these things going on, and I remember thinking, my God, what's this? What is this stuff? And only Jeff Rents and Coast to Coast were, and a few other people were sort of covering it. So yeah, we saw these things around our skies, and yet there wasn't much around it. But here's what happened when. So let's go back to see if Patrick can help me out here. I'll just skip this because yeah, we haven't got as much time as I thought. So what I did
We've
to
got
try
until
and deal with
11,
this.
mate. It's okay. It's okay. We've got
All
until
right.
11.
Oh, I thought we were 10. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought we were
No,
10,
no,
10 o'clock.
no,
All
no.
right.
It's 11
Okay.
o'clock. And what happens is at 3 minutes to 11, we go off of air from Food for Thought Radio. So
All right.
but we're still carrying on with YouTube and Rumble and the rest of them. So I just thought I'd mention that.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so Patrick, help me out here. So the next one is it is a photo that's see. I don't know if you've got the same photo output. I should have numbered these. It shows basically a trail in the sky. So I just want to prove to people. I know most people who are listening now or might listen in the future will know that this is a real phenomenon and they'll understand it. But so I've just showed the crisscross huge patterns in the sky that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s. Is there any, Patrick, you can help me upload the one and it just shows a streak, but it's from an above point of view. Okay, so it says photo, and it's 38.jpg. That's the easy way to do it. Can you find that one? Because it shows from an aeroplane, and so it shows that this stuff isn't hallucination from the ground level. It's actually being seen also from other pilots. That's the main point. So do you think you can find that one? Otherwise, I'll have a go at putting it up.
You mean that one?
Right, sorry, I can't see. Bingo, good man, right. Sorry, now I've buggered up my windows. Right, wait a minute. Right, yeah, okay. So again, I'm just trying to point out that because I'll just make a point here. So one of my favourite websites and British organisations, I've been a faithful advocate of Paul's site, Paul's group for ages, and also the other. I like supporting British and sort of. We're a very small country, but I like supporting groups. So the other one is UK Column. Well, they're a lot of them are still actually quite anti this whole area, and I think, my God, after all this time, come on, people, they believe all sorts of other stuff like. The poison that Novichok that poisoned people in, was it Cheltenham or somewhere, anyway. So they believe all that stuff, but then, as usual, people, there's something about this area, Eric, that people just, for some reason,
Taboo.
maybe because it's, yeah,
Taboo.
or is it taboo, or is it because
It's
it's
not
in
so much
Sky? It's a bit,
taboo. It gets argumentative because people really take sides on it. It's not something that you can easily prove one way or the other. So it's a difficult thing, and then people get hardened viewpoints on it. Because I know exactly this topic. I've been following this since William Cooper, and William Cooper had the notion that he made fun of Art Bell a lot for pushing the contrail chemtrail thing, and that traced back to Jeff Rentz and Patricia Doyle and their talks
yeah,
about it
Patty
back in
Doyle,
the
yeah,
90s.
yeah. Yeah, Patty Doyle. Oh, right, that's interesting. I didn't know William Cooper had even commented. Eric, Eric, what was your opinion, say, in the mid 2000s of this area? I'm just interested myself.
Well, the weather has always been odd, but it was a natural odd. Now it's not a natural odd; it's an engineered odd. And I actually first noticed it, as I say, in 2009. But I'm sure it's been going on longer than that. But that's when I first noticed it. But there's been other strange things, like, for example, I think it was in 1980, where there's some children. I think it was in Oxfordshire. I've mentioned this before. People want to sort of look it up. That all came over ill, parents and teachers, and it was a school day out, and they were fleets of ambulances going to the hospitals, taking them to hospital. And when they got to hospital, they couldn't find anything wrong with them, but they're all
Yeah, I
throwing up and
remember
in
it.
a terrible state. Very, very strange. But the chat room is going absolutely berserk in.
I bet you they are, because this is a topic that gets people going.
Oh,
I'll
it's
tell
a
you.
hot topic. The
It
trouble
is
is,
a hot topic.
I'm not pasting them up at the moment because we got the picture up and people can't see the full thing. We've got Rug Masters coming out with some very interesting things. And I just
Go on,
want.
Ruggy. Go on, Ruggy. My mate from the Netherlands. Go on, mate.
Oh, hang on. Is he from the Netherlands?
Yeah, he
Hello.
is. Yeah, it's a friend of
Hang
mine from
on.
the Netherlands. Yeah.
From the Netherlands. Oh, that's nice. There we go. And you've mentioned it correctly, the Netherlands, because it's not Holland, is it?
No, actually,
um,
I tell you what. Once I said, "Oh, are you from Holland or something?" And he had a right go at me. He said, "No," he got really angry, and I said, "I don't know this." It's the same when I talk about English people, UK people, or British, and people have a shout at me when I go British. They go, "Oh, it's Roman." Well, I don't know. Don't have a go at me. I'm not.
no,
I
we're
don't know all this stuff. So
English. We're
we're
English,
English, but who the Netherlands? So,
a correction. We're from Fockham, you see, so
oh,
we're a bit
you're
posh,
biased on that one.
I'm very
All
biased.
right.
Well, being royalty
Yeah.
from Fockham, I mean, we're all bleeding royalty, aren't we? I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it.
Well,
You know,
Eric, I wish you were the ruling royal family over everyone else that's there at the moment. We'd have a much better time in life, and life would be
oh,
a
thank
bit
you.
more of a laugh than it was, right? Than it
But
is currently.
everybody in
Sorry.
Fockham has a royal title, so there's loads of chiefs and no Indians, so we're all senior, we're all royalty. Why
That's the problem
not?
with power. That's the problem with
Yeah.
power. It always ends up with power, as Orwell said. But you get too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Anyway,
Well,
right. So,
Rugmaster,
uh,
here he is. I found him at last.
go
They
on,
are
Ruggy.
spraying Mogellans part of the Klaus Schwab Agenda 2030. You'll own nothing, etc. And he's got the link there. So there we go. And as with most Dutch people, or all Dutch people, of course, speak English bloody sight better than us English can. So there we go.
Yeah, it's true. That happens a lot with some cultures, to be honest. All right, so obviously people are very. This area really gets people, and and I think a lot of it is because there seems to be this dividing line between people who have noticed this stuff. Whether it's like in 2000 or whether it's 2009, like you said, or whether it's even recently. But I want to point out, and the point that I try to do when Patrick put the very thick. Um, Crosshatch thing is, it used to be that blatant, but of course no one noticed it then. What they've done since is the technology has got much better now. So when they do it these days, They can literally spray. They do all sorts of these planes, whatever they are, do all sorts of dotting around in the skies, but they vanish and they make a smog of the sky. But people get ill a few days later. I mean,
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
no, I mean, literally. And my theory is this stuff now. I don't want to jump ahead, but what they use this, like, it's almost like a nano web, and people have found this. I tried to find some. I just didn't have enough time, but people have found stuff in their gardens where they found this web-like matrix. God, they're like, "What's this?" They think it's like some weird form of Jew, as in D, not Jew. Not everyone's obsessed with Jews. This is see, Patrick. God bless Patrick. He laughed at my joke then, right? That's the
You're
problem.
always using code.
DEW.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
problem is in this
Using
scene. The problem in this scene, which always winds me up, is you can't mention anything close. You can say Inspector Clouseau and Clue, and they're like, "Oh, did you mean Jew?" Because everyone's bloody obsessed. Honestly,
I know,
you
but we're waging
right?
what goes on
Um,
the grass and sticks to your foot is DEW. So there we go.
That's the
By the
one.
way,
Okay.
Evo has said something interesting. Is it possible some people cannot see what we can see? I was at Leicester a few weeks ago, so someone's got to be there, and myself and one of
Leicester.
my
Well, that's
mates
a hellhole.
could see what was going on, but my other mate couldn't see the chemtrails.
Yeah, that's it. Well, God bless you for living in Leicester. You're one stage down from
No,
Bradford. Don't go
no,
there.
he doesn't live in
Right.
Leicester. He lives
Doesn't
somewhere
it?
else
Oh, sorry, you're right. All right,
in
never mind.
Salop.
Sorry. I jump on these things because I've lived in these areas, right? Anyway, never mind. All right. So people found literally there's two things that are important as well as what you can perceive in the sky or what certain people don't perceive in the sky. And the chemtrails thing I find is fascinating because some people, it's a bit like the UFO issue. Some people are like, well, I didn't see anything funny in the sky there. The same with the chemtrails thing. Some people are like, that's totally natural. Look at those.
Yeah.
The sky from horizon to horizon. That must be natural. That's just and then you go, well,
They
look,
kind of go
and
together. You mentioned Art Bell, and a lot of
yeah,
what he talked about was that sort of thing. So
yeah.
it
But
does. They kind of go, and I'm playing the devil's advocate here because
no, do it,
I've seen
play it.
both sides. Because the notion being that there are actually contrails in water vapor that when the conditions are such in the sky, the airplanes go by and you can see condensation trails out the back and they go for a long ways. That's a natural occurrence. And Cooper, I'll have to send you some of his broadcasts that he did back in the day because he was in the Air Force, and I think a lot of what happened subsequent to that those broadcasts, because that Art Bell and actually Jeff Rentz and Patty Doyle made the term chemtrail popular at that time,
Right.
because prior to
So
that
so
it wasn't
yeah,
really
let's go.
so known. But at the same time, wouldn't you say that also the increase in air travel has been a factor in noticing these crosshatch patterns and that sort of thing, because it's
All
exponentially
right. No, good.
grown that people
No.
go, okay, go ahead.
Well,
I'm here
yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, 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 no.
I'm an
Good.
agnostic
Fair
when it comes
point.
to this.
Yeah, well, okay, but hopefully, Patrick, I think hopefully by the end of this, even though I wish I had another 2 hours to discuss this topic because it's one of my favourite topics, I hope that you might change your mind on that. But yeah, Jeff Rentz and Patty Doyle, I mean, they did a lot. I mean, Rentz was first on this issue, and he was, I mean, I think in 1999 he said, I mean. He was quite rich at the time. He was working for Premier. I don't want to go off on this, but he was working for Premier Radio, GCM with Alex Jones. So he had a nice little pad in what's the place? Oregon, right? And he
Yeah.
said one day he was lying there in his back garden and he saw these horizon to horizon streaks. And it was him that brought the issue up. It wasn't anyone that wrote him. He was like, "What did I just see in my back garden lying down? These planes doing this." But the thing is, what you then do is you forget all that. Look into the technology, and if you look into these, they call them high pass jet turbines, right? So and by the time you come to today, certainly it's now even more efficient. So they, as I said when I first came on, they jet engines will only make a short trail for the atmospheric range. Okay, so they're going. Most jets fly at 28 to 32,000 feet. We come into what else we find flying when you see a certain image I'm going to put up in a minute. But so as they're flying through the atmosphere, as I said, landing or taking off, it's literally for a few seconds where they produce. And all it is that supposedly the jet turbine heat that becomes ice crystal. We all know about it. Basic physics. Come on, people. You go through an atmosphere, you freeze something that's hot, then becomes suddenly cold. You get ice crystals, right? But what's interesting is these days, okay, that these high turbine. I'm trying to remember that. I'm not a technical guy. High turbine jet pass filters. It's something like that. They don't even produce anything like that. So these days, you can actually see jets taking off in all sorts of weather, and they'll produce nothing. So the ones that produce these contrails or vapor trails now are a done thing. You shouldn't see those anymore. What's interesting is the fact that, of course, on some days you then start seeing suddenly these other planes that are creating. They're still the technology has changed, but you still see these huge trails. And let's get back to okay. Let's get back on theme. What?
But they spray at night, don't
So
they now? Because I see them in the mornings. I've noticed they do a lot of spraying at night.
you're dead right. They spray at night. They also spray, and this is my take. Certainly in the last couple of years, they spray under cover of they because part of it is weather modification, so they can create a very cloudy atmosphere, and they spray behind that as well. And suddenly, sometimes freak conditions can happen. I mean, I'm in the Pennines, and we have weird weather as it is up here. I mean, we have totally. I can drive 2 miles out of my dip of the valley of the Pennines, and the weather is totally different in Leeds. I can go to Blackburn, and it can be totally different. But the point is that you can suddenly see that they were spraying behind these clouds. But so what did I do? Is my usual way. I thought, right, I'm going to look into this. So in 2003, with a few people from this UK 9/11 forum that's looking to the sort of 9/11 stuff, I set up a website and forum called Chemtrails UK, right? And it was the first. Certainly the first UK, but I couldn't find any other domains or websites that was trying to look into this area. And so let's just go straight to this. So, but what happened? So I set up this. It had a very basic forum. Okay, so come on. I was going, what is this effing stuff all about? Let's discuss it. Here's some photos. This is what's going on. Lots of people have also added photos. They put photos on my website. I've seen this. So I said, well, what is this sort of stuff? What's going on with this so-called chemtrails stuff? Right. So I got a forum and a few pages of news and a few photos and stuff. Right. So Patrick, help me out. But I want you to look at this. And what in the early days we had anyone that's run a website since the early days, we in the early 2000s, you used to get very basic things called weblog traffic. So you could basically see. I just want to point this out to people. So Patrick, help me get this one out. So it is the one. So just I mean, it's
the one with recent visitor activity and all.
Well, I'd rather you show the one that says 8. Yeah, next to no, I'd rather you show it says 18.jpg, which shows the basics of how web traffic used to be in the pre-2000 era, and I'm trying to show people. All right, so can you find that one? It says 18.jpg. It's like a very basic text page, white, black writing, black type.
I got it.
Sorry,
I've got it.
Good man. All right.
Is it this one?
Bingo. All right, good. Right, I'm going to go on to the one after. Okay, so in the early days, pre 2000, if you're an old web type like me, then when we tried to look things up. Sorry, I can't. I'm trying to see now. I've got Eric's face in front of the IP addresses, but that's just how it is. So all we got. So if you can see. No, it's not. No, that's oh my God! I didn't want you to vaporize just to show that bit. But okay, so you can see now you've got so you've got the client IP address, and if you were very lucky, but what you notice here, you just get something like so here we got Jakarta Apache.org. Okay, Apache was in fact I don't want to go on about some stuff, but I actually know the person that made in London that invented the whole Apache method of IP addressing and all this sort of stuff. So wow. You essentially, well, no, honestly, great guy. The people that invented the whole Apache system. So essentially, all you got if you run a website and you try to look at who's visited me, who's interested in my website, whichever one it is, right? Then that's all you got. You've got an IP address if you're lucky. What else have we got here? I mean, this is a real document I had to search up, and then but patchy dog. Anyway, so that's all you got. So Patrick, so let's go. So the next one is, but then what happened roundabout? Luckily, about 2003-4, that you had websites like StatCounter.com. They were third party, but your virtual web host would also give you stuff. But StatCounter was way ahead. Oh, bingo. Okay, is this the right one? Let's have a look. So let me hang on. I've got to catch up here. Okay. So here is. So bear with me. Have a look at what have a look at so visitor homepage. I've forgotten all this. I mean, it's years since I've used this stuff, but this is a screenshot from. So imagine. So I set this website up about the chemtrails issue called Chemtrails.org UK. I don't even know if that was the site name, but it's essentially what you had then. If you put a line of code in, you could use a third party like StatCounter, which is what I think this is, and it would by the sort of 2003 time, instead of just getting stuff like, well, who's the main host, the main Apache that runs the technology of this, you basically start to get who's visiting you, right?
Yeah.
Where they've come from,
Stats.
which landing page. I mean, yeah. Sorry, Patrick, chip in if you want.
The stats for the visitors of the website. This is
Yeah.
what we're looking
Also-
at. The people that went to your website researching chemtrails, and I see a lot of government type websites. I see a lot of official UK type things, NASA,
Yeah.
JPL,
Yeah, and
that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear, but
No, it's
here's
all
the
right.
here's the
For the
point.
radio
But no,
listeners, that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at a list of
okay.
people that went to his website searching for information likely on chemtrails, and it's from official documents by people like NASA, the American Space Corporation
And
of the Navy,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah, and I
RAF, the
appreciate.
UK's
Yeah,
RAF, Royal Air Force.
yeah. That's it,
People were
and I
looking
think
at
I
your
appreciate.
website trying to get
Yeah, yeah.
information about what you
All right,
knew about
and I
chemtrails.
that's it. And it's good you're making that clear. Perhaps I assume too much sometimes, but
You
here's
got
my
you got to
point. The
talk to
point
people
is,
like they're blind in a
well,
way.
I do, but are they blind?
That's
I don't want to patronize people at the same time, but
well,
the
that's sort
yeah, but the hang on. So now there's a message come up. Right. Anyway, let me look. I'm trying to look at my own screenshot here. But my
Okay,
point
I'll
is,
pop out after you put the screenshot down. I think I'll leave the message because you
no,
can't
that's all
read the
right.
end
That's
of
it.
it.
Right. But I want to make a crucial point here, and this is that. So what the irony of this, if you look at this readout that Patrick's just very articulately sort of explained, the point is that the funny thing is to me, which happens in all these areas, because if in these areas, whether it's the sort of stuff that us lot are doing now in certain areas, or 9/11 back in 2002, 3, 4, then the thing is sometimes if you're in this area where you're going, well, I don't think this is right, so let's see what's going on, who's going to sort of have a similar view to me, we don't know what's going on, but let's look into it. And the same thing happened here with the chemtrail stuff. So what happened is, so I got a forum underneath this. There was a forum going, and there was the website with, as I said, some pictures to do with chemtrails, and I tried to invite a few people from the 9/11 and various other scenes onto it, right, to come and have a look. But my God, the visitor numbers, and this is the crucial point to make it. The visitor numbers were totally outdone by weird commercial government organizations and visitors. So I had about 8 or 10 people that came and regularly said, oh, hi David, yeah, we'll come and add a bit of stuff to your discussion on this, that, and the other on the forum. And I was like, oh my God, as usual, all people are turning up to try and investigate this issue. Then I remember checking this after a few weeks of having a website up, and oh my God, NASA. But the most interesting one was Porton Down. I mean, Eric, do you want to tell people what Porton Down is? I don't know if people know.
Oh, certainly. Well, Portland Down is the
It's there somewhere.
chemical weapons place, and I've got personal experience of that because I've said this before on the show. I'll be very quick. We went on a family holiday in the 1960s to Cornwall, and my dad went into the sea in Newquay. And when he came out, his face was all covered in blisters all round his mouth. Oh, it looked a terrible state. And he went to the doctors there, and they said, he said, yeah. He said, strange, it's just this year, and we call it Newquay mouth. And loads of people have got it. Well, anyway, it ruined our holiday. And my dad felt really self-conscious because as he's walking along in the street, I mean, his face, he looked like it's horrendous. These blisters that were coming
My
out on his
God.
face, and then he took. I think it must have been antibiotics. I can't remember. I was so young, and we got home and didn't think any more about it. A couple of years back, I think it was about 10 years ago, they released papers from Portland Down, and they said that in 1968, which was the year we were there, off the Newquay coast, they released
No
germ
way.
warfare
No way.
stuff to see how it would see how it spread amongst the population. And my dad
Wow.
got that, and that, but let's face it, and at the time they said, "Oh, it's due to was it to a sewage outlet being a bit too close to the shore?" No, it's bullshit.
Sure.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, my dad didn't swim amongst Richard the Turds, did he? I mean, no, I mean, Cornwall was incredibly clean water there, so that's what it was. It was Portland Down. So that's the
Yeah, well, and also it's Newquay, Eric, which, as you know, is
Mm.
now the and has been it's the young person's surfers. I mean, it's the surfing area
It
of
was
the
then.
UK.
It was then.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was the
we
surfing
see.
capital.
All right. Well, so when I asked you to comment on Port Down, I didn't know the story about your dad. I had no idea.
Mm.
But also, I didn't know you were going to mention Newquay, and I didn't know it was like that as the surfers thing. But Newquay's always
Yeah.
been, and in fact, Cornwall has always had. I love Cornwall. It's always had
Oh, I
a
do.
reputation for really clean beaches and everything. So
Mm.
I'm shocked at hearing that.
Yeah.
But there you go. But anyway, yeah. Well, the thing is that Port Down are a little bit dodgy. I mean, they're involved in. I don't know if people know about the Salisbury Novichok incident to do
Yes.
with where a couple of people were framed. I'm sure were framed for again blaming Russia, as we know. But we're going off topic. But that's the point. My point is, well, my God, why we're pouring down? But also, if you notice, if you 9/11 people, if you know about where's that? There's a place where a plane went into. It didn't go into the university. Oh my God! It went. See all this stuff in my head.
It's
It went
Pentagon. It went
into.
into the
Yeah,
Pentagon,
right.
didn't it?
Okay, but Purdue University did the research and breakdown of it, and they basically said yes, it was no, it was the plane dissolved into like a mini bit of only 2 inches long and went through the. So it's Purdue. So the point I'm making is, look there, you've got Purdue University turned up and had a look. So you've got to ask yourself, are some of these universities, whether I mean, you've got Warwick, the British one, Warwick. So are Warwick and Purdue in America? Are they sort of paid off to be these research areas, so they sort of keep an eye on things like this chemtrails? But what's my main point? So if you if you have a look through the data that's there, and that's one of several pages, but those are screenshots. I lost most of the evidence because things, they overwrite things unless you pay the fee to keep these traffic. You pay for this traffic to be stored, which in the old days, and that was expensive. I mean, it's not like today when website storage is cheap. But what's the point? The point is to hear that you have, why on earth? So if this was an area that's like, even some of the alternative people were saying is, oh, well, no, this is ludicrous. These are just contrails from airplanes or weird
Yeah.
atmospheric events or something else. The point is, why the f? And this is important. Why the f would all these people come and visit my silly humble? I was sat in a bedsit in Nottingham at this point, right? Bedsit in Nottingham, putting this website together in 2003. Why on earth would all these UK and American and other government organisations, military, why would they come and visit a humble website that had about six people that came and regularly said, "Oh, this is my experience," on the forum? Why would all these organisations come
David.
along if this was a bullshit area? I mean, I'd like both your opinions on that, Eric and Patrick. Why would they turn up if this was a silly area? I don't
I would say
understand it.
I would say to check on their psyop to see how effective it is.
Oh, that's an easy cop out, though, Patrick. That's
No,
easy
but
because you
hey, that would be my first guess as somebody
Well,
saying it's contrails instead of chemtrails.
I think
what? I did what? Oh, right.
similar. I think it's similar to UFOs. What happens is there are unidentified flying objects, and what the government does, they muddy the water with everything. So I think that what they were interested in is muddying the water, and they do this all the time. Like for example, with these what do you have in as can't think of the word now. We have these
Flat Earth.
design.
Flat Earth.
No, not
Oh.
flat Earth. You know these designs in cornfields.
Yeah, the
Crop circles.
crop circles. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, I was having a senior moment. Crop circles.
Wow,
What
plenty
they've
of them.
done.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. What they've done is they've muddied the waters, and they showed you a couple of old boys going along with planks and crap like that.
Right.
That's what they do all the time to throw people off of what's going on. Psyops,
right.
all the time.
Psychological warfare. I think it's Christopher Simpson said that he defined psychological warfare as getting two subjugated groups to prevent communication between them. That's a psychological warfare.
All right. Okay. All right. I get that. All right. So just
to get controversy going amongst a group that otherwise could be looking into their dirty deeds. So that's a motivation for going in and splitting up and making divisions in a group in order to prevent them from functioning. It's to divide them.
Okay. So Eric, I get Eric said. I mean, and Eric's on about Doug and Dave. These were the people in Wiltshire that turned up.
Yeah, muddying the water.
Right.
Yeah, they did it. Yeah, and quite right. And you can create crop circles with a plank, and they did muddy the silly old giffers. They did muddy, and I would both give them a kick in the balls because they really caused big problems because there are true crop circles, just the same UFOs.
I agree with you. But you know
the
the way to tell the difference, because the real crop circle, the actual straw is burnt inside. Whereas when it's been trampled down, you can see where it's been trampled down. That's
yeah. And there's a lovely lady there's a lovely lady from America that she's dead now that did all the research on this. That basically found that the actual crop circles that were authentic were almost electromagnetically. The stems were bent at a certain point, and they so they could tell. So they couldn't. But my point is that that's a good representation of someone screwing with things, and people screw with things all the time. So, but Eric, what's the equivalent of the Doug and Dave board stomping thing with this? Why? I don't get what you and Patrick are saying. Why would people from NASA turn up on my shitty website when I'm in the bedsit in Nottingham done this? Why would they turn up and go, well, here's some way of now trying to muddy the waters?
There's a truth.
David silly. Well, I don't get it. I'm serious. I don't understand what you mean.
Let's put it this way. They are spraying shit on us, excuse my language, because they want to blot out the sun. These people are psychopaths. They're demonic. They're nutters. And what they want to do, they're interested in people that's waking up to it so they can debunk them, so they can make them look foolish.
Are you saying my site was a trap for people? Is that what you're saying?
No, what they're doing, put yourself in their position. Suppose that us two, okay, and all the money we wanted, and we're evil as hell, and we want to spray all around the world, okay? You'd want to find out how much people are finding out about it, because you want to keep people in ignorance. And the people that are a bit sharp, and the sharp knives that can see what's going on, you want to make a note who they are, so that you can sort of make them look foolish and things like that. So there's an old saying: keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. So what they're doing, they're finding out what's going on. So yes, of course they're sniffing around because they don't want people to wake up to what's going on. So that's what I think it's for.
Can I give my opinion?
Come on, Patrick.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave. You go, Dave.
All right. All I want to say is, but I agree with what Eric said there. But that does not debunk or in any way lessen the fact that these people have turned up to a shitty site made by me in a bedsit in not. I'm purposely keep repeating these. It's me in a bedsit in Nottingham, right, in 2003. It doesn't. By them turning up, doesn't. I get what Eric's saying there, but the fact is they turned up, and this is a silly 2-bit, as you say, America website. So I still don't quite get why would they be turning up? You don't need, by them turning up, it doesn't make them make fools out of us or anyone visiting that website or anyone going, I believe chemtrails are real. It does, by them turning up, it doesn't do that. So I still don't understand. So Patrick, what's your take?
My take is that the people that you see there, like NASA and this sort of thing, are the same people that fake the moon landing, and they tell lies in order to get people to believe.
And juicy now.
What?
I'm saying, sorry, it's getting juicy. I'm saying with the moon landing. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Well, I'm no doubt, but I'm saying they're just rotters, as you'd say in the UK. They're just rotten, and they're liars, and they're just checking up on their lies because they know that the lies are spreading, and they're exponentially spread after the 90s. May I share something from? Have you ever heard of
Certainly.
Google Ngram Viewer? Do you know what the
Oh
Ngram
my God,
Viewer is?
you've mentioned Ngram, and it's like
Never
regards
heard
to
of it.
black goo. No, Ngram I was about to look into because someone said you can find out if a term has been used.
Yes.
Has a term been used? Right, carry on. I'm interested. I heard this only about 3 days ago.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So I'm gonna show you what I've got on my web browser for Google Ngram Viewer for the term chemtrails and when it became a popular term.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, good. Yeah.
And let me see if I can you see that?
Oh, that's a steep curve.
Yeah.
That is a steep curve.
Isn't that's exponential
Mm.
right there? Prior to that, there's nothing. There's almost
Wow.
absolutely nothing. I mean,
What's
there's a
that year
bump
then?
actually in the year
2000.
1900. There was a term.
No
It looks
way.
like used in
You're taking the
1900.
Mickey there. Google are taking the in 1900. No one called things chemtrails. You're taking the Mickey,
Well,
honestly.
okay, I don't know what's I you can look and see what that's referring to at the bottom of the screen. And what would that
1999.
be?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're right. There's a lump there. 19.
I
Sorry,
think
19.
it's
God,
more or
I'll be
less
getting.
actually a new book about 1900, and
Yeah, but you got to remember 1910. What happened there with Halley's Comet?
yeah, could be I don't
Because
know.
there were some very strange things that happened. No, sorry, I
I'd have to look.
no, sorry, no, 1909. It was the I got muddled up. Not Halley's Comet. You know that meteor, what it was that hit a Russian forest in Siberia,
Yeah, that was the
and it
Mars, the probe thing. Yeah,
that's no. This is in 1909, I think it was. Off the top of my head, you'd have to look it up. Chukuska or something like that, and it was
Tunguska.
that was it. It was like like an atomic bomb going off,
Yeah,
and
Tunguska in Russia. Tunguska in
it caused
Siberia.
some.
Yeah,
That's right, some very strange weather in this country uh, for the leading year, and apparently it was twilight at 12 o'clock midnight and things like that. Some very weird things went on, and I took that comet. I think it was 1909. I think it was, and it must have been. That's the reason why that hump bump is there.
A
But
little bump there.
that's right. Yes. So that would have been it. That would have been the reason. And I
Still,
think it caused problems around the world. People could. I think in America they had daylight. It was very light at night because of what that happened. Whatever happened in Russia. Anyway, sorry, that was my bit.
that's all right.
right.
I just wanted to just make you aware of this, that it really became prevalent around that time that Patricia Doyle and Jeff Rentz began talking about it, and then Art Bell started talking, and then William Cooper, and then it looks like it really ramped up around the time that you made your website, likely in like 2003.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And
my
uh,
So
yeah, I was going to say, and
what I would say is that it's a psyop, but that's to get us to divert our. It's kind of like the flat Earth thing, to get us arguing amongst each other about these things that we can't really prove. You can prove it with documentation, and you can take video and all that kind of stuff, but you still are going to have a hard time convincing a skeptical person that something thousands of feet, 30,000, 50,000 feet up in the air, however much it is doing that,
yeah,
when you can't
uh,
go to the airport, see the chemicals being loaded onto the plane firsthand without getting,
well,
firsthand reports.
and
It's not something that you can touch so easily,
no,
and it
no,
makes it
you know,
easy for there to be division. Is all I'm saying.
well,
I'm not trying to say that, like I said, I'm an agnostic on that.
all
They
right,
could be doing it, but
okay.
I doubt it.
All right. Well, but I'll just say, if you're going to pull off a psyop, why'd you come to David's crappy site run on a two, as you say, a 2-bit web server, probably for $2.99 a year in Nottingham in 2003? Why'd you come and then flood his web? Which only, as the point I made is, and that's a
Yeah.
crucial point. But there are only about 6 or 7 regular visitors every day to, and these are a lot of them are a few of my friends from the 9/11 area. So why would you pull off a psyop and come and visit my? If you want to pull off a psyop about chemtrails, do it in some other way. You're not going to achieve much by
I,
doing
I,
it on
I
my
would say
website, coming and visiting.
I would say, like for instance, you have one there where I've got the cursor where it says Sociology UK, and it's out of Stirling,
Sterling,
Scotland.
yeah, Sterling University, I think,
Yeah. Well, it's a
in
so
Scotland.
well sociology. A sociologist would say, "Hey,
Oh no, I know
we
what you're going to say, Patrick. You're going to say
oh,
it's a communist sort of thing.
no, I'm not saying a communist sort of thing. They're looking at this phenomenon, this cultural phenomenon of chemtrails and studying it. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
that's
I
okay.
don't know if that's communist, but that's
No,
that's a
and
skeptical viewpoint in
all
in
right,
regards to
and
chemtrails.
it's and it's okay to study it in that sort of sociology sort of way. But the thing is, what they're ejecting from these planes, we've been breathing in now for 15, 25 years. I can't remember, 25 years. People go on about, my God, they go on about the vaccines and, my God, mRNA and stuff. People forget, since 1999, we've been breathing in shit. And you want to see the list of stuff that's come from our atmosphere. The one thing that I tried to find a photo of
Aluminium.
is well, it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's not just aluminium, and it's not just this nano stuff that seems to. Because what their goal is that they need to hold it in the air so it falls slowly, right? And this is, but there are biological stuff. There's barium. There's all sorts of stuff. The thing is, but what annoys me is people go on about the vaccines and, oh my God, we're all so injured by them if you were stupid enough to take them, right? But the thing is, we've been breathing in stuff from these quote planes, and I'll say one thing: I don't even know anymore if they are planes. I think there might be something else. There's a guy called Charles Fort who wrote about high strangeness, and that's since my research is 2003, and my view is I don't even think these things might actually exist, these planes, because no one has ever seen. If you want to do the globe, which they have done, if you want to spray horizon to horizon on Maine, Australia, the only place you've never seen is that if you've got to do that, that takes a huge amount of planes, right? Well, no one's ever seen where these effing things land and take
But
off.
that,
Find me a
that's
video where they're taking.
interesting. Now
Yeah, well, that's
that
just
pictures
my
the picture
long-term
I put
view.
in the picture I put in the background is vapor trails, and that was taken during the Battle of Britain in 1940. And they're the vapor
Well, there's
trails
another
above
argument. Yeah,
St Paul's. Now those vapor trails dissipated within a minute, I'd say, of that photograph being taken, because you
and
can
that's
see them
far
dissipating
faster.
there.
Yeah, that's far
Are
faster
you
than these
sure?
things
I'm, I'm
today.
I'm sorry to be skeptical on that, but
Certainly,
that's
certainly.
like I said, I'm playing the devil's advocate. Like, if we had some motion picture, maybe we'd be able to tell a little bit more what's going on
You're
there. But
correct.
the
Yes.
idea being that you see a lot of chemtrails at a certain time, and it's like they appear all at once. There'll be nothing for a day or more,
Absolutely.
and then
Yeah.
suddenly they'll show up. But that could be explained by the changing of the weather and the high pressure, low pressure
Well,
change
No,
in the
not really.
sky.
No, not really.
but also
No,
it says there, if you look at the back, it says the white condensation lines. Okay,
right,
I've
contrast.
actually seen a chemtrail going across my house that's been a kind of black color, and you can actually see stuff coming off of it. You actually
Yeah.
see it
Like
coming off.
exhaust.
That's right, and it was a kind of black. So it was a vial, whatever it was. So
And
that
that's a
is
common and that's a common thing, Eric. People talk about this black residue of these current chemtrails, but what's probably different, and I guess by saying, well, okay, so yeah, because people have claimed that, well, look, there's chemtrails in what was it, Operation Popeye in Vietnam, and what that was for was to drop, I think, what they call Agent Orange, was it, that onto
that's
foliage
right.
to then destroy, yeah, and so they could then bomb or see
Mhm.
when all these sneaky Vietnamese people, and they could, so they saw, but then people are claiming they've
Agent
seen them in
Orange.
World War II. Yeah, but and people have gone back as far as World War II and said this. But I think what's profoundly different is this time, which I tried to get an image of, is that when these chemtrails have riddled our sky, people all over the world, right, especially in the West, have then got a torch at night, or they've had a halogen lamp on, say in their back garden. You can see when they've sprayed, and it happens even today. You can see falling It's like mini snow-like debris, and these are nanoparticles that come down, and this is from this stuff, and we're breathing this stuff in. So there's a difference between, I think, when people say, "Oh, these trails have been going on since 1945 and then Vietnam." No, this from 1999 onwards, there was a deliberate plan to cover our planet in these, and it's going to be a longer conversation, but there's a reason why they're doing it, and it isn't just for global warming. That's a bullshit argument. There's other stuff going on, which is why they include things, especially like aluminium and barium in it, because most of their goal is to make us as human beings light up when they do another certain other technology, which they're blasting out of. They're blasting this other technology at us by various radio waves from satellites and other things. But that gets spooky. It's quite disturbing, and it's for another time. But that's Mikey. I think. I mean, Cliff Carnicom is the guy. If you're interested in this area and you want to know what's really going on, he did 7. I mean, God bless him, right? So it's never the government never find out. If we ask our government to go, what's going on? Look at these trails in the sky. Find out what's going on. They never happen. And then a commercial company, you go and say, well, you're really good at environmental stuff. You're a commercial company. You've made billions a year. Tell us what's going. No, it's citizen scientists. Cliff Carnicom did I think it's 7 or 8 a list of 7 or 8 points about what's going on with these things, and he used HEPA filters on a mountainside to take in all of the stuff that was getting sprayed, and then he analyzed it under a microscope. And the guy did years of work on this, and his top 8 about what's going on is fascinating. But it's a long, complex thing to go into. But they're up to far
Dave.
more than we think by spraying this. They're up to far more than we realize. It isn't just the global warming thing is bullshit. There's far more going on, and but I'll leave it there.
Dave,
Well, I think what they're doing, they're
go ahead.
engineering things to make it look like global warming. That's what they're up to.
That's
They
their
want
excuse, Eric.
that's it. And this is what they're doing. They're pissing around with the environment deliberately to say, oh, yeah, it's global warming. I mean, I think Alice Gorgeous has got a good point here. I personally think we spend too much time looking at what they are up to and not enough time working out how to stop the maniacs. Very good point, that. This is what we were saying earlier. We've got to understand what our enemy's doing. And this is the thing.
Right.
To fight our enemy, we have got to be one up on them. And at the moment, we're one down.
We can't be stupid because that's what
Precisely.
they want us to be. They want us to
Yes.
be stupid. Okay,
Yes.
but still, I'm gonna be devil's advocate.
Okay.
What do you think of the Extinction Rebellion and the man-made global climate change psyop that goes on? Because that gets people into action, doing things, and how do you prove it? How do you disprove it? It's another one of
Well,
those things.
Look at the insects. There's very few insects around. Now, I remember a time when you drive along and you put your windscreen wipers on and you get loads of green fly going.
It was a
across
fly
your
fly
windscreen.
graveyard.
It was a fly graveyard. And I remember getting pestered with wasps. I don't particularly like wasps. I saw about 3 wasps last summer. So what's
Yeah,
happening?
they were not very
And
much.
and there's not
here
many
either.
insects around. What's happening with the insects? Something is happening because we need the insects because they pollinate the flowers and they help to, they feed wildlife, they feed birds and things like that. Swallows feed on insects. So there's something going on, and they are doing something to bugger up the food chain deliberately.
They
Well,
are.
I know
They
they
are.
do
Right.
certain things with insects where they introduce a species in order to take care of another species, and then they go wild because they're not natural to an area, and then they become a parasite, and it's all done in the name of
Well,
science. A lot of
they
this
did.
stuff.
You're right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk
ahead.
over there,
No,
mate.
no,
But I remember, it must have been a good 20, 30 years ago when one year you had an excess of green fly everywhere. And then the next year you had an excess of ladybirds because I think ladybirds, do they feed on green fly and things like that? So you had an overabundance
they
of
do.
bleeding ladyfirds. Then the next year
Yeah.
you had an overabundance of something else. But
Yeah. No, you're right there because my granddad used to curse out and this is again go back to the mid 70s. In his greenhouse, he used to curse out either ladybirds or greenfly. It was always one of those two. He'd effing blind about either those two. So you're absolutely right there. But I'll just say this, because you mentioned that with insects, Eric. I think that is part of what's going on. But you've got to imagine people think, oh, chemicals coming from aeroplanes is falling down. But look at what the if you look at what people have found and go and see what Dane Wigginson, who's a great guy, my God, he runs geoengineering, and I don't like the term, right? I like the term chemtrails or aerosols, as I discussed with Eric, I think yesterday. But he runs geoengineering watch, and it's like that's like the mainstream term for what's going on because it's all to do with weather. Well, it is and it isn't. But you're right when you mentioned insects because what you just because just because a government or an above government, as I call them, a sneaky group, right, way above fucking Keir Starmer and whoever else, just because they are in airplanes dropping stuff on us, what you don't just think, oh, it's just chemicals. No, what happens is when they drop this stuff, what it does, it creates an electromagnetic web, right? So as this stuff falls on us, we inhale it. The earth around it. What's the goal at the moment of what these people are trying to do? They are literally trying to map not just us as human beings, which involves electromagnetic mapping. We've all got our own signature. If you look into this now, look into the white papers, they are mapping even the species of trees, grass, flowers, what they want to do, and in a way, it's a bit doom laden because I sort of think, well, hang on, so they're trying to map with this electromagnetic. So what they do, they drop this stuff on us. They then beam electronic frequencies. I mean, look this up. I'm not lying here. This is what goes on. They beam these frequencies. They can then They then get a readout back from grass, trees, but especially human beings. And what they're trying to do is create almost an alternative world for where they can log. Right, well, this many trees. There's this many people. This many people think this way, and that's what they're trying to do. And I think that what they want to do with this carbon zero, they want to kill all of us and replace it with this electromagnetic software sort of system that they've got. And that may sound far out, but I think that's it. Because what do you have? They haven't got control over us. Many people think they have. They haven't got control over us at the moment. But if you have a digital simulation based on their feedback from chemtrails and from being zapped with this electromagnetics, and again, look into it. Why are they dropping barium, aluminium? Because it gives a readout back, right? It gives a readout. It's not an accident they're using some of these stuff, and I think they're creating a simulation for their own methods or their own desires and stuff. And they're trying to kill us off, and they want a simulation because they can control the simulation, but they can't control us. That's my final take on this area, really.
That's interesting because Blu-ray has counteracted what I've said. Okay, that's fine. So actually, there were a lot of insects around last year. Wasn't where I live, as we had a particularly hot summer. Loads of butterflies. We had loads of ladybirds too. Yeah, I'm seeing ladybirds this year, and I'll tell you what I had. Now, it's not that warm, is it? I mean, it's a bit colder where you are in Yorkshire. I had a bloody great bumblebee come out of the my rosemary plant, and because it's all in bloom, and of course they're collecting the pollen. But there's loads of bumblebees flying around when it's quite cold. It's not that warm. We're not that close to spring, and it's less than 10 degrees outside, and there's loads of them. But these great big, I think they're African bumblebees, because that native bumblebees don't exist anymore. They've been completely eradicated from this country.
I mean, did the African did they come over in come over in dinghies? I mean, these African
they might have done, yes.
Yeah.
And Blu-ray said, I only noticed the return of insects last year, though. That's interesting. And Alvin Kurt said, nothing on the windscreen. That's right. And there's nothing on my. Normally the lights as well. Your headlights are usually caked full of bloody.
And Alva's made a good point. I know someone that just came in and said, "Well, I've seen lots of insects." Well, I agree. I run an allotment, and I've seen some some very strange sort of creatures around. But I think the thing we have to go on is, like you mentioned, is flies on the windscreen, like Alvin Kurt mentioned, because that I mean in the 70s and early 80s. I mean, you only had to drive 50 miles. Your screen was plastered, right, with blue bottles and whatever else. And it's just not happening anymore. And it never has happened since. So something's happened in the balance of nature, which I think is linked to this.
And also, I mean, as well as driving, I like cycling as well. And I thought, go along on my bike, you see. And I used to have to wear sort of goggles and something over my mouth because the amount of bloody flies. Because I go by a river, you'd be sort of you breathe in, you get a sort of
Your mouth shut.
you get a mouthful of, or you go up
Yeah.
your nose in your eyes, so you're getting bombarded like this. So you have to sort of be protected from all these bleeding little flies around the river, you know. But now Mark Anthony said to Blu-ray, yes, that may be the case, but go on a long drive in the summer and your windscreen will not be covered in the smaller insects like it used to be years ago. They have gone. Oh, that's right. They've gone. Excuse me, yawning. I was up early. And also, Aileen Court says scraping them off the grill with tar
That's the one.
remover. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And I used to have my first car was a Morris 1000 Traveller. Ones with a wooden.
God, that's showing your age. That's showing your age.
Yes, it's a Woody. And I used to, and it's still on the road. I've checked; it's still on the road to this day. So I'm pleased about that. And I used to turn the quarter light window round, so you get plenty of air in. But trouble is, you got plenty of little insects here. Boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, boom. You know. Now, Hamilton Court said Jeremy Clarkson mentioned it on his farm show too. So that's
Chemtrails?
interesting. No, about lack of insects, I assume.
Oh,
yes.
oh.
I mean, have you
I was
noticed
gonna
that in
say,
Wisconsin?
What's that?
Is that have you noticed lack of insects in Wisconsin at all last year?
It depends on the insect. Like I said last year, we didn't have as many wasps as we did in previous years. We had
Oh, sorry, I
lots
missed
of,
that. Yes.
Yeah, a couple of years previous, we had a bunch. So I guess it depends on the conditions. I'd imagine.
Yes. I should think you have the same sort of insects as we have, really, ladybirds and things like that.
Mosquitoes, gnats, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, bloody hell, yes.
We get these flies that just show up out of when you're driving and you swallow them if you have your mouth open, that kind of stuff. Quite common.
Yes.
But some years they're more prevalent, others not so much.
Now, Blu-ray, I'm interested in what area you're in. You don't have to give me your address or anything like that, because he's answered Mark Einstein. He said, it was last year my windscreen was covered in dead insects, but in previous years, no. So what area are you, Blu-ray? You know, you can be vague if you want, you know, you say, but what part are you from Britain?
Can I add a point to can I add a point to the insect thing, Eric?
Certainly.
Right. Okay. Well, what's interesting is again, you know, and again, go and look all this stuff up. I mean, there's a couple of books. I'll think of the names in a minute. Who've written these books on what actually happens when these chemtrails. You know, because again, everyone thinks they're out of airplanes, they're going into our lungs. Well, they are, but also they're creating this electromagnetic environment, and that's the thing. It's a plasma environment. Everyone hates that, but actually, no. I mean, currently, if you go to the White House with the UFO stuff, everyone's like, "Oh, plasma." Well, I've been going on about plasma for ages. It's this when you drop this particular formula from these airplanes, if they are that, we don't know, then it creates you can then you always make it an electromagnetic plasma soup out of the lower sort of Earth orbit, and you can go and look at all these things. Well, the thing is, what happened a few years ago? I mean, Linda Bolton Howe, bless her, looked into all this to do with. Do you remember? I'm sure both of you, Eric and Patrick, remember there was this thing about honeybees and their crisis because they couldn't find their way back to their hives. So honeybee owners were letting them out, and then perhaps as they do, they moved hives. Well, this is because what happens that when you chemtrail and you drop all this a soup. It's a soup that they then electromagnetically activate. What happens? Well, the thing is, when even cats and dogs use this, most animals, especially pigeons, but especially bees, those are the two. But even cats and dogs, they use an electromagnetic way of maneuvering around. They don't see things like us. Humans see things in a very 2D sort of way. When you look at, like, I mean, racing pigeons, how the F do you think they get back? I mean, look at the situation in the Battle of Trafalgar. Was it Trafalgar where the Jews tried to use them to get back and raid the stock exchange? Was it that battle? I can't remember. Rothschilds,
the Rothschilds. Yeah, they used a pigeon, whereas the other newspapers used some bloke on a horseback, and of course the pigeon got back quicker.
Well, yeah, they had the pigeons that would go across the channel.
Yeah, that's right. But my point. All right, but my point is, it's not just about the speed of the pigeon. The point is that pigeons for millennia use a different way of Why do we call them homing pigeons? Because they have a different, efficient way back. You can't drop a human being in Somalia. They'd go, get me
Hmm.
out of this effing disgusting place, right? So you can't drop a human there and go, I'll make my way back. But you can with a pigeon. If you drop them in Somalia, they go, yeah, I definitely want to get out of here before I'm made into a bad curry, right? They then fly back to London because they have an electromagnetic way of finding a way back.
Do you know how
And
you
this
tell a good honing pigeon? I have a
No.
friend who
oh,
raises honing
I love the
pigeons,
whole homing pigeon thing. So tell me,
homing
I
pigeons.
love the
They
whole idea.
well, it's in the eyes. If anyone that trades in pigeons, and these things go for tens of thousands of dollars a piece, and the
Bloody
good
hell.
ones that fetch that high price, they take the picture of the pupil of the eye, and people who breed them know just by looking at the eye which pigeon is going to be a good pigeon for finding its way back compared to other pigeons just by looking at the
All
eyes.
right, yeah, all right, okay, Patrick. But you've reminded me now of something where pigeons were used to on either bombing raids or spying raids in was it World War II or after?
No, what
And
it
they
no, what it
literally pigeon.
was. No, what it was
Here we
is
go.
they
Yeah,
they, they wanted.
Eric is full of facts.
Right, here it comes. The American Navy, I believe it was. They wanted to have.
Right,
They actually did a lot of experiments on this. Uh, they didn't have the technology then to have a guided missile to hit a ship. So
that's the one. That's the one.
some bright spark come up with the idea of putting a pigeon inside this missile, a kamikaze pigeon. Oh, and what it had, they put this food and they made it. I think they conditioned the pigeon to believe that a ship would be food, and it'd be given seed to eat, and it'd peck away like this, and
Kind of
it
like
gradually.
Pavlov's
That's right,
dog.
and it gradually aim the missile to the ship. But it's a bit like the Russians, I think, that those dogs with bombs on there tied to them.
Oh,
Unfortunately, they didn't teach the dogs to tell the difference between Russian tanks and German tanks. It took an entire armored Russian armored division into reverse because the bleeding dogs went after the Russian tanks to the German ones.
Right, they should
You
have
know,
they should have trained us to go after red Russians and not white Russians, and then we'd be
that's
in a
right.
better
Yes,
situation.
that's
You know.
that's the thing. But
Oh, that's controversial.
yes, but now Aunt Sally. Hello, Aunt Sally. By the way, are you in the bath, out of the bath, or currently are thinking of going in the bath? I've noticed in the past 10 years a lack of frogs and toads. I used to get loads of them in my house, backs onto woodland. I haven't seen one in my garden for over a year. So that's interesting. And yeah, I used to see quite a lot of because all we get around here is grass snakes, and so and, I actually saw a grass snake catch a frog. Not a pretty sight, but that's rather interesting. Now, Blue Ray lives in Shropshire, so perhaps they had an increase in insects in Shropshire. You know, and no hereditas get frogs. We're not talking about gay frogs. They might be gay, you just don't know, Or if they are
that's
gay, perhaps they're not
that's the
mating.
chemicals. The chemicals
Yes.
they're putting in the water. Yeah.
Now,
I find that interesting though, Dave. I just got to point this out that you mentioned that Jeff Rentz and Alex Jones were both on GCN. GCN being out of Bloomington, Minnesota, I believe, here near
Right.
here.
Yeah, no, you're right. No,
And
you're right. Because
I
Alex
find that
Jones,
interesting. Oh,
he
go
didn't want to
ahead,
move up there. He was invited to move up to Minnesota, and he didn't want
Jeff.
to. But yeah, yeah.
Jeff or Alex?
yes.
Dave. Jeff.
Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff. Yeah. No, sorry. No, Alex Jones was invited initially to move up to Minnesota, and he didn't want to. He was about to, and then something happened. They got targeted. I don't know. It's an interesting idea.
Hmm.
Jeff Rentz and Alex Jones had a very interesting sort of rise sort of to power, but then fell out together. I mean, it's all fascinating stuff, but interesting anyway. Yeah, but yeah,
It's,
Minnesota, I remember that.
Is Minnesota the equivalent of Manchester? You know, you think of it's a bit like the Eastern Front, you know.
In a way, it kind of is. It's like the dividing line is the Mississippi River between East and West in America, and Minnesota's on the west and Wisconsin's on the east. So it's like the meeting of East and West.
Is it between you and I, Patrick? Is it? Excuse my language. This is in real English language. Is it a shithole? Minnesota.
It's a war zone, right? It's a war zone.
It's becoming more and more like that.
Yeah.
I remember we'd go to the city, and as you get closer, you see the suburbs, and my parents would always point out, wow, this is where a farm used to be. This is where this was a farmer's field, and now it's just a big, huge conglomeration of row housing. So it's becoming like that, and the Amazon facilities, and it's just not
a shithole,
what it could be. It's not what it could be, yeah. And it has a lot to do with families being broken and inheritance and that sort of thing, and people not having children like they should. And as a consequence, you get people moving in and opportunists that come in.
Yeah.
But also, Patrick, how come people from Somalia, which is probably very near the equator, suddenly have moved up? I mean, it might not be Minnesota. No, it is Minnesota. How come people from Somalia? How come they've suddenly arrived in one of the?
Well, I'd say it's like in Michigan. Michigan set the precedent where all the Ford factories, Henry Ford, and then his son, and then Edsel, and
are you saying that's an excuse as why they turned up? Are you saying because they
brought them
down?
in? Because they're good workers. They come in, they don't drink. They're not like the Irish
they're not
or
good
any
workers.
of these others. But they don't get drunk and they don't ask for high wages because they're immigrants. A lot of immigrants
because they're blacking things they're blacking daycare centers in Minnesota. If you watch the recent stuff,
I think they're being used by people in the banking industry.
You're a bit more, Patrick. You're a bit more lefty and liberal than I thought. So God bless you.
I wouldn't call me a lefty. I would just say that they're being used. They didn't come here in and of their own accord, other than they were let in. It's the people that opened the gates that I blame more than anybody.
Well, I agree,
because they shouldn't be here by all rights. You're right, and
that's right. It's governments.
There shouldn't have been a war.
That is the problem. It is governments, demonic governments. Now, changing the subject slightly, and I'm still on about chemtrails. Have you heard of a gentleman called William Reich? R-E-I-C-H. Now, William Reich, about chemtrail. Wilhelm. That's
we have a photo. Yeah, we have a photo. So what you can do,
and how to actually stop these chemtrails? Because I actually I went on a talk about this. And using Wilhelm Reich's ideas, you can actually make holes through the chemicals above your house. And what you will attract, though, is black helicopters going around your house. Seriously.
Well, Alex Jones would be right with you on that one. The black helicopter.
Yeah, Patrick. Okay. And lined up for this presentation, I have. So, can you show an image of? Because I want to say this because I've done this myself.
You'll have to let me share the screen, Eric.
Oh, sorry, mate. There we go.
Yeah, I say.
There we go.
Yeah, bingo! Oh my God! See,
there
Patrick,
it is.
You're so intuitive. That is that's a Wilhelm Reich
organ
device that you basically the bottom bit you put into the ground and it gets ground energy, a bit of water, and then. But I want to say that I could find a video if I had another bloody half hour where I've done this myself. So actually, I put a orgone pyramid, which is a pyramid made out of there's just stuff, the normal orgone stuff that William Reich sort of made, and then I placed it on top of a stone circle in Cornwall, and I got a video. It shows you get a donut hole in the sky. So, but that's it. That was with normal cloud. So you can do that but these things can destroy chemtrails. So if they plaster your environment with chemtrails in these streets, these things that. And this is also linked to a guy called Trevor John Constable, right? Who understood that the whole idea there was other stuff going on in the sky that was organic, and so you can invent these things called cloudbusters, and they will clear. And it's true, they'll clear the sky. Why do they do that? You've got to ask why.
Because I actually went. Sorry, carry on. Well, I actually went to a talk, and it might have been that chap who was talking. So carry on, Patrick. Sorry.
Oh, did you know which school Wilhelm Reich is from?
A lefty one. I know he was commie,
Oh,
wasn't
you're
It's
he?
going to say
called
it's a communist?
the Frankfurt School.
Yeah, he's a
Oh,
real
Never forget
commie.
Frankfurt.
oh
Yeah, they're
dear.
the ones that came over here and started what's called the
That's
New
right.
School in New York City.
And very much into
I
pervy
mean,
stuff as well. Bit of a shall we say?
Well, I heard from you,
Uh,
Michael Jones, that he ended up with syphilis and going crazy toward the end
Jesus.
of his life, and that's kind of how he came up with the orgone stuff.
All right, all right,
So,
all right. Can I say, look, look, if we wrote off everyone that did good things occasionally and said that they
yeah,
were perverts or they're Illuminati, do you know what? We'd have no
yeah.
one left in our scene. Sometimes you got to, you know. Do you know my take is in this conspiracy area we get lots of screwed up people, but you know they're good, it's screwed up in a good way. Sometimes to understand this very weird area where you've got lots of effers that are doing all sorts of stuff. Sometimes you might be a
Yeah.
weird character, right? And I'm going to say one thing. I think in this scene, especially this alt-right British scene, I think we're very intolerant of people with a sort of slightly different deviant view. And by deviant, I don't mean deviant in a dodgy way. I just mean
Sexual.
people that
Yeah,
think
you're not
differently.
talking about.
Well, no, I
I
know. I'm
think
very
I
serious.
think he was
Well,
into that whole deviant stuff.
all right,
But,
no, but
oh, he was very
I'm on
deviant,
about
wasn't he?
yeah.
But
who was not
well, no, Wilhelm
William Reich.
Reich. He died. He died in
William Reich. What?
1957
No,
in prison,
he
and he
he
died
he
mysteriously.
wasn't. Yeah, no. William Wright was not deviant. He got arrested by feds, right? So he was not deviant. He was a really
Hmm.
good guy. I don't know whether you're. I mean,
Really?
this scene thinks everyone's just linked to, or he might be linked to Jews, and suddenly that's a problem. It's like
Well,
we've got no. This scene has got a big
Michael
problem
Jones is
where
where I got
they
that
just.
information from. He's the
All
one
right,
that did the
okay,
research on
all
that in
right,
a book
all
called
right, Pastor.
Libido Dominandi. I'm just telling you that
Right,
this is where I'm getting
okay,
it.
all right.
Okay,
So, but I'm getting the
I'm
whole
not
thing.
trying to I'm not doing
No,
this to attack
no, but
your
I'm
position.
getting the Catholic. I'm getting the Catholic
Yeah, you're getting the
libido for
Catholic you're getting the
crossover thing.
Catholic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting it. See, I know, and but
Because
the
there
thing
was
is,
a concerted
the,
effort by him to get priests, Catholic priests, to give up celibacy
right, okay. Do you know what? I don't care
back in
about
the
that.
day.
Do you know why?
No,
Because he invented
okay. I'm just
cloudbusters,
telling you.
right? So
Hmm.
yeah, but so you've got to be a bit open. Like people that
I'm a,
invent good things,
yeah.
like cloudbusters to destroy stuff. Like you've got sometimes you've got a bit more. Not everyone is perfect in this world. I think we're a very narrow-minded scene. It really
No,
annoys me, right? That
Hmm.
we write people off
and we
far
can
too
all get
easily in this.
forgiven. Yes, yes, I believe in forgiveness.
Well,
But
I think I'm a bit more forgiving than a lot of people in this scene. I think there's a lot of
At least for the
narrow-minded people.
people that ask for it.
well,
I'm all for
actually,
forgiveness.
All right, whatever.
let's to move in the subject
I'm getting annoyed now,
from
right?
Sorry,
from
Dave. I'm
Catholic
not
cloudbusters and whatever. Let's calm things down. What I
sorry,
was
Dave.
going to say is that the way you make these, you can make a pyramid, and I believe that Rugmaster has actually. If I just change the scene, if you don't mind, and I just put Rugmasters, and it's called an oops, and I've written press the wrong button. Here we go. Down a link there. Buy organ night club buster. You can make them
Yeah,
yourselves,
I've got one downstairs I can bring up. Yeah, they're great things.
and you make them out of metal. And you can make a pyramid, and you get I think it's copper pipes and things like that. I was thinking of sticking one on top of my bike shed, but there's only one trouble. You shouldn't get underneath them because there's something to do with the energy, isn't it? You can't get underneath them. So I've been that
yeah,
idea because I thought it
yeah,
looked quite
that's well.
nice to have.
There's two. Well, with William, the energy of William Reich, which is fascinating. You get a positive energy, and then you get what you've just made. Then you can get the reverse, which is called DOR, which is a negative human energy. But I mean, all this stuff is fascinating. And again, you don't have to believe in this stuff. I've got a video of me putting a orgone. It's about that big. It's downstairs on my mantelpiece. It's that big, right? I put it on top of a stone circle in Cornwall. It put a hole in the sky. Well, why would a pyramid made of these little, like you say, copper bits and other things inside a it's a sort of plasma plastic thing you create them from. Well, it worked, and the same thing with William Reich stuff. And again, it's the same thing I mentioned with why did all these people turn up to my silly shitty website in 2003? Why did people turn up and arrest William Reich for using? If you saw the Kate Bush video of cloud busting.
That's
Kate
right.
Bush did a video, and that was
Mm,
all about William Reich. And
that's
in that
right.
video, she shows what happens. Then the feds turned up and arrested him and jailed him for what? Because he invented a machine that had no discernible warlike power. But what it did do is mess with the weather, right, in a good way, right? So you've got to think.
Well,
You've got
he
to
won some
consider.
money, didn't he? Because some farmers had terrible droughts, and he
He
went
did.
along with his
Yeah.
organite thing, and he actually
Yeah,
made
he
it
made it
rain.
rain.
Mm.
Absolutely, and isn't I
So
mean that's a good way to make money. You're not being some stock market f-wit, are you? By
no,
ripping off by a Jewish rip-off merchant. No, he made it rain for farmers. I think that's a good guy, but he still got arrested by the feds, right? You get so is it a good guy or not? Well, stop
you
slagging
may
off people like William Reich, right? Stop. It really annoys me.
I'm only going by what has been said. Whether that's true or not, I don't
There's
know,
a lot of
because
bullshit in the world,
none of
right?
us were there. I mean, they reckon that Trump has got syphilis. I don't know whether he's got syphilis or not.
We all believe too much.
I mean, who knows? Only he's Mrs. Trump might know, but I don't know. There's nothing to clap about. I know that, but I mean, we just don't know a lot of these things. And when you look at the amount of lies we're told, what do you believe? This is the thing. But now, hang on a minute. Here we go. Rugmaster's come in again. Lots of talk going around about shungite, which is from Russia. Shungite being helpful. That's right. And they used to use it as a water cleaner. You used to put shungite in water, and it'll stop it going manky. And I'm going to make my own Berkey water filter from Italian flower pots. And I'm going to use shungite to plug the hole and put beeswax around it, the shungite, so that it stops the water coming through the hole. And you use a flower pot, but it's got to be an Italian flower pot, not a Chinese one, because the Chinese one might have lead in it, whereas the Italian ones haven't got lead in them. So it's a little tip there. But you can make your own Berkey water filters. So there we are. Although I do use a zero water filter, the reason I want to make a Berkey is because if things go down, I will not have bottled water from plastic. So I'd use water out of my tubs through my homemade Berkey filter first, and then put it through the zero water filter, and so it make it last longer. So that's what I've got in mind. So there we go. Isn't that
Eric,
boring?
I have. I'll just say I have. So I have a Berkey filter with three filters, the candle filters. But then right at the bottom when it's filtered, I have some little crystals of shungite in the bottom, which and also I have a thing that also alkalizes the water. So the water that comes out has both been through this sort of shungite thing at the bottom, but also has an alkalizing. It's a little thing that you can buy. You find them on eBay. You can drop these things in, and then it alkalizes the water and makes it actually quite healthy. So there's an argument though between that and what's those things where people evaporate stuff. What's the evaporation things? Oh my god, they
Oh,
put what?
oh,
No, something like that. I can't remember
it's
the
like
name.
condensation. I
Yes,
went
it's that.
down. The reason why I went down the road of the
That's
zero
unhealthy
filter.
water, right?
Well, the thing is, now Warhead Rexus says bone char filters fluoride and similar elements, and it is easy and cheap to make your own. Now that's interesting,
Oh,
because
that's lost me.
it's fluoride that I'm worried about, and this is why I was thinking of using rainwater if things go titties up, and putting it through like my own Berkey filter. Um, Now, Rugmaster says drink from copper cups. Yes, I do, except for this one. But no, I've got copper flasks.
I
Um,
never heard that.
oh yeah, copper cleans water. Seriously.
Right, didn't know.
Hmm. And I actually bought a couple of copper flasks from India on eBay, and it took about a week to get here. Beautifully made, and dirt cheap as well. And what I do, I pour water from the tap into the copper, and from the copper I put it through a Brita filter, and from the Brita filter I put it through a zero filter. And the reason why I distill it like that is because the water around where I am is 340 parts per million, which is bloody high. And a zero filter would only last 3 weeks, and I'll make it last 2 months doing it this way. and Six Blade. Oh, distiller. That's what Alvin Court said. A distiller. Six
Distiller, yeah,
Blade
that's the word. Yeah, yeah.
has said a solutions-based truth cinema featuring Mike Barr from the Co-op Files and Steve James from the Cult Academy. Sunday the 29th of March, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Seaton Terrace Club, Seaton Deval, Tyne Weir,
Yeah.
Deval, Tyne Weir,
That sounds like an advert.
NE25
It is.
OBB. It is an advert. That's cost him 20 fuck bobs
Fuck
of
bobs.
our own currency, you see. So there we go.
I've got some fuck bobs.
Excellent. Because see,
Saved
it's the
up.
only with Fockham, it's the only country in the world where if you're a bit short, you can download the money from the internet. So it's
Yeah.
easy, isn't it? So everybody would be pretty rich if they want to be, you know. Mind you, with the Fock Bobs, you're going to need to buy very little from them. But so anyway, I'll leave that up there. So
You're
if
talking
you're
about
up,
distilled water.
hmm,
Distilled, that's the one.
Distilled water. You posted. It was either you or me. I think you did it. I made a comment in the Occult Academy on Andrew Norton Weber on urine therapy, and he was big into distilled water besides the urine therapy as a means of detoxifying and not acidic but alkaline. I can't even say it. Alkalinizing.
alkalizing, yes.
Alkalinized.
But Warhead Rex, by the way, in a couple of minutes' time, Food for Thought Radio will be leaving us. So when the music cuts in, I just warn you, it comes in automatically, okay? Warhead Rex says Brita is charcoal and epoxy medium filter, doesn't filter fluoride or metals. That's correct. But the reason I use the Brita is that it takes about 40 to 50 parts per million out of the tap water. And when it goes through the zero water filter, it makes a zero water filter, which costs a bloody arm and a leg. I can make mine last about 10 weeks. So that makes it more economical. It brings the price down a bit more because zero filters are brilliant, but they are costly. And I buy them in bulk to bring the price down, you know. But there we go.
Are we done for the chemtrails questions then? Are we done for that topic?
We might do. Hang on a minute. We've got here Tony Robbins. Mark Hallrick says Tony Robbins. People all do urotherapy, and also if you get stung by a wasp and you get an anaphylactic shock, if you get some urine, just put some under your tongue.
Delightful,
but it'll stop you getting the anaphylactic shock. And this is what the Aborigines used to do when they got bitten by a snake. Well, I'd rather have a taste of piss in my mouth than die of the poison from a snake or get anaphylactic shock. So I think the choice is better. As long as you use your own and you don't use someone else to piss in your mouth.
Oh, dear me. That's
but
see, I'm into this weird stuff too. So yeah, I'm not trying to pick on any particular thing. Just so you know that, Dave, I apologize to you that I'm not trying.
Never apologize. I like people with extreme opinions, and even if I get angry, I'm not really angry. I just pretend to get angry for the sake of the argument. I get over things very fast.
The thing is, what I'm trying to do with this show is bring back Victorian and Edwardian gentlemen and ladies.
Etiquette, yeah.
Here it comes.
Oh my God. That ain't it.
Wake up your mind, fill up your day. Smart little bites that brighten your way. You're listening to Food for Thought Radio. Here at FFTradio.com. Club Blue, oink!
And we say goodbye to Food for Thought Radio, but we're still live on air on Holy Land Radio. And we're also live on air on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. And it seems that tune has frightened David off. He's gone, hasn't he? He's only us two left. That's right. As Mark Anthony said, he says, Dave has buggered off. He's got it off.
We have to work on the slow upward progression of the volume of a song so that we can just get acclimatized to the show ending.
Well, that's right.
It goes boom right in there.
Well, the thing is, Paul was talking about having some music that only we can hear in the studio.
Yeah.
That the audience can't hear. So because I don't know when it's coming on, and I have to keep looking at the time, and I mistime it every week, But anyway, he's cleared off. So, but it's been an interesting show. But tomorrow night, I'm hoping now. It hasn't been put together yet to get the F in Farmer on the show. It's weird saying that, to show us about this currency. And I'm hoping to, live on air, purchase one of these, whatever it is you get. What is it? Coins or whatever it is for £13, or 12 or £13. So so it'll be a learning curve for all of us. And let's hope it works out. I'm going to have a word with Paul, hopefully tomorrow. And now, was it Alvin Kirk says, come back, David. Yes, come back, David. All is forgiven. That's live. Anyway, Patrick, thanks for joining us tonight or this afternoon. I mean, it's about 5-ish in the afternoon where you are.
It's actually, we have our clock change as of last night at 6 p.m. at the moment. But it's sunshine out. It's just as though it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon as of yesterday. So
really?
I hate this time change stuff. We got to get rid of it.
I want summertime. Summertime all year round. That'd be fantastic.
Well, I want it so that when the sun is at its apex, that's noon, and that's standard time. That's winter time that we use. Just stick to that. If people want to close things off early,
that's right.
Let them do that. Change the summer hours, whatever they're going to do.
That's
but
right.
I think the people that suffer the most are people like children and farm animals and just anybody for that matter.
I agree.
Because it's like they have to revolve and change their routine just to fit some arbitrary notion that we're going to all change to the clock.
I agree with you. I think it's
just
awful.
Ridiculous. I think it is. I think it is too.
And the amount of money it costs to change all the clocks and everything, it really is. And now, Wilhelm Rex said California passed a ballot initiative to leave DST, and the government ignored it. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Bloody government ignores everything.
When they instituted it was during the lead up to World War I. And what it was called prior to daylight savings time was wartime. That's what they called it. And especially during World War II, I think they changed back and forth between wartime, calling it wartime, and then calling it daylight savings time. Because I've got a lot of old broadcasts from World War II that I've listened to, and that's how they would report the news. It's 11:30 p.m. wartime, and the front in Germany is blah blah blah, and that's
good.
I think it coincides with war, and what have we got right now? Oh, another war going on.
That's right. Because we had double summertime
good
in this country. They put the clock back forward 2 hours.
Well, it sounds so much nicer to be called daylight savings time. I mean, it sounds almost like you're a philanthropist. You're saving us time. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, government. You're saving us time. Oh,
yes.
Besides stealing lives and money and all this other stuff.
I 100% agree with you. And what gets me, they've got all to Big Ben, the clock, every year. It costs a bleeding fortune to do that. And all the clocks and everything all have to be changed. Why? Because they did an experiment in the late 60s, early 70s where they kept the clocks on. And they did it over a year. And the only thing is that it just got lights in wintertime about sort of 9 o'clock in the morning. And people went to work in the dark. What's the difference between going to work in the dark and coming home in the dark?
I was talking to a friend of mine in Russia, and they changed their law. It was under when Medvedev was president.
Yes.
between Putin's presidencies, and he said no more daylight savings time. We're just going to go to standard time all year round, and he says
Excellent.
it's way better than it used to be when they had daylight savings time.
When
There's just something
enjoy.
about adjusting your schedule
Hmm,
that really causes stress in people, and the
I
lack of
agree.
sleep and insomnia.
We lose an hour, and also, um, in China, it's the same time wherever you go. They don't change the clocks. It's that's huge. But Aunt
Well,
Sally said, sorry, carry on, mate.
one state in America doesn't change it, and that's Arizona. They don't do
Really?
the changing of the clocks. Yeah, they're mountain time at one period of the year, and then the other period they're Pacific time.
Spot on, Aunt Sally says no one likes having the clocks messed about with. So why do they do it? Me thinks it's shenanigans, to be honest.
Fear.
Uh, upsets your biorhythms. I agree
Yep.
with you.
Keep
And
you in fear. Because
that's right.
I'm fearing I'm going to be late. Oh, and they
Yeah,
say that the number of heart attacks and strokes increases dramatically the Monday and Tuesday in the week
that's right.
prior to the changing of the clocks.
And my mother used to say, when we change it in autumn, the weather changes. And it always does. You change the clocks and the bloody weather changes.
Oh, yeah.
And Alice Gorgeous says, the Industrial Revolution and Greenwich Mean Time, I say, leave the clocks alone. And the majority of people say that as well. That nobody's for it. And I'll tell you what's got me, changing subject slightly, because Aunt Sally's reminded me. I've been meaning to make this film about Waltham Abbey for ages. And I thought,
Yes.
right, Wednesday I'll do it. It was bloody awful weather. And I'm just waiting until we get, because I mean, it's all right, but to walk around in overcast weather, it's a bit, and I think it's nice, and I want to do it before the tourists start going to Waltham Abbey, which is around about sort of May time, June time. It gets full up with tourists. So I want to get there beforehand. I'm waiting for a really nice summer's day. I've got my camera ready and everything. I'm not sure, there's usually not that many people around, so I might be all right with the camera there, but they're quite free and easy. You can film inside there. I've asked them, and they said, "Yeah, it's perfectly okay." So that's nice. And
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. I want to see the Tomb of
yeah,
Harold and all of that.
Harold, and
Old Harold.
also the strange carving on the corner of Miles's shop. That's another one
Yeah,
around
you
the
told me
show.
about that. The transvestite thing.
Transvestite thing on the corner, yeah. But you'll see Waltham Abbey and things, and I don't know whether to tell Miles I'm going to walk into his shop or not. I'll just film it, take him by
Just do
surprise.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, turn that bloody
Good
camera.
publicity. Free publicity.
That's right. But anyway, was it Aunt Sally says if the government can control time, it gives them the power of a god. Yes, and I won't say the next word after that, but I think we all know what she means. Starts with W. Yes. Um, to me, as I say, mention government. To me, I just think of demons. That's exactly what they are.
Yeah, I was
Total
gonna say
demons.
I've been reading more and more Catholic theology, and these
Mm.
people in government that we have there. They refer to it as allowing any unbeliever in as sacrilege. It's sacrilege to let these people run the country.
Yes. And I'll tell you something that's very weird that I want to find out. Aunt Sally might be able to answer. Why is it, as far as I know, is the Catholic religion the only religion that has exorcists?
I
I don't
think
know of
there
any
are.
other religion.
I I I'm
I'm not
I
sure if
think in
Muslims
Buddhism
do.
there might be. I think there are other religions that
So if anybody's
have
from another
similar.
religion, yeah. Sorry, mate, I didn't mean to talk over you then, but
What were you asking?
well, what it was is I mean, I don't think C of E has exorcists. I don't think Church of England
As far as
has.
Christian religions, I don't know if the Orthodox in the
No,
East do. I like the Russian Orthodox. They might.
they
They
might. I
might, or the
don't
Greek.
know. It would be
But
interesting to find this out.
amongst Protestants, I'm not sure.
I
And
don't think so.
Muslims, I don't know about Muslims.
No, I don't know about Muslims either. Jews, I
I
don't
don't know
think they
enough. I
do.
don't know enough about them. I'll have to ask. That's a good question. I've got
Buddhists,
people I
Buddhists,
talk to.
I don't know whether they do or not. It's an interesting one. Because I do believe there are demons. I really do.
I
But
thought I heard. I have a friend, or not a friend, but an associate that
mm.
I used to follow. I don't know if you know Brian Rue out of British Columbia. He's a
Brian Rue,
Buddhist.
yes,
Yeah.
Brian Rue. Yeah, I know
He used to
Brian Rue.
talk
Yeah,
with
not
this
personally.
fella. He used to talk with a guy. His name's David Reynolds. He was a monk since the
Oh yes,
90s.
I've seen him. Yes.
And I think he mentioned that the Buddhists did have sort of
Mm.
like exorcist type
Mm.
function, but I'm not sure. I shouldn't say for sure, but David Reynolds would probably know a lot more about that. You can find him on YouTube.
That's a good idea. Warhol Rex says Bonpu variant of Tibetan Buddhists has demon banishing sadhas. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Sadhanas.
Sadhas. I don't know. I don't know. Now, answer says my pastor today, Baptist, said that demons can't possess people that have the Holy Spirit within them.
Sure.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know.
I would agree with that as a Catholic, that if you have the Holy Spirit in you and you're in a state of what we call sanctifying grace, that it's impossible.
You've got a good point there. But what they do, these evil spirits, they get in on people when they're at their weakest and their lowest.
Right.
And they're like recruitment officers. They're trying to recruit others. So what they do, they recruit someone and they turn a positive into a negative, and everything's negative, 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 negative. And I actually believe that there's a lot of demons around hospitals, because I know somebody who went into hospital and a really nice person, and when they came out, it's like they turned into a demon. Now, how did that happen? They were totally different personality.
There's certain of these preachers that are kind of demonic. You posted that one or did you post that of the Trump's?
Oh yes.
What's her name? What's her name? I forget her name now.
I can't remember her name. She's wandering around. Send so many dollars. Do this. Do that. Do that. You know that.
Yeah, and you
disgusting.
see videos too of her talking in tongues, and it's just I don't know. I don't know what to say other than it's demonic.
The nicest one I've ever seen is a healer that goes around and someone gives them money and he says, "No, I don't need that. Give that to someone that needs it. I don't need it. I'm here to heal." That's the genuine ones.
Yeah,
the ones that turn it around. That's the ones I like.
See, in Catholic theology, selling spiritual goods, selling the sacraments, is considered what's called simony, and it's based off of the Acts of the Apostles. What Peter the Apostle and they were dealing with this fellow by the name of Simon Magus, or Magnus, I forget his name. I think it was Magus, and he was trying to buy spiritual blessings and the ability to cast out demons and that sort of thing from the apostles, and and as a consequence, that name simony is based off of him trying to sell spiritual goods.
Really?
And I would consider what that woman, I forget her name. It's so forgettable.
I can't remember her name.
Remember it.
I don't really want to remember, because quite honestly, it turned me sick. Yeah. And I don't like. I mean, I think that. Well, I always remember this. I think like another Dave Starbuck saying,
Paula something or other. I forget.
He said, if you're doing good, and
Paula
you
White.
believe in what. That's right, Paula White. And you're doing good, the money will follow you. You don't have to look for money. You don't have to ask for it. It'll come. It'll come. And I think that's very true. It'll follow you, and you'll have the money when you need it. You know.
Yeah, well, it's like the early Christians. They would pool their money together for the common purpose. It was
right.
The communists like to say, "Oh, see, Jesus was a communist," and it's like, well, okay, that's not quite what was going on there. Forcing people to give up their property wasn't what was going on. It was free will.
That's right.
And that's what you need, is the free giving of your wealth in order to benefit as many poor people that don't have wealth as possible. That's what you need, the free giving, so that you're in the habit of doing it. And not
I agree with you. And what turns me sick is when politicians use religion
Yeah.
to push an agenda, which Trump does and our politicians do, and that is something that is
An agenda of
deplorable.
war, an agenda
Precisely.
of lawlessness.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
There's religion where they pray for peace. That's not
Mm.
what you're talking about.
I mean, a genuine one, as there was a
Yeah,
film made
genuine.
about him, was that chap that saved 70 lives, who was spat at. It was terrible. He was he went into the army, he was drafted into the army during World War II, and he actually went into battle unarmed because he didn't believe in killing people.
Hmm.
And he was in Red Cross, and they jeered at him. They said he was a coward. Yet his bravery saved 70 people from death.
Yeah.
Now that is something, and I think that
They
these
they used to send
heroics.
priests. They used to
Yeah.
send priests into battle to give the last rites to the dying soldiers that would
Mm.
go in unarmed, and it was always the policy that the priest would be unarmed and that you wouldn't harm a priest. Even the Muslims in the Quran teach that Christian priests and holy places are off limits when it comes
That's
to
right.
war.
That's right. It should be. And my father witnessed something with a Catholic priest who went round. He says, "Is there any of my flock here?" And they said, "Father, don't go down that road. It's being heavily shelled. You won't be able to get through it. It's absolutely nothing." He says, "Don't worry. I've got my faith." And he got up. He just walked along the road. He wasn't touched. He went straight along, straight over, and the Germans stopped firing. Amazing, So I think there is. I mean, uh, I can't remember how my dad interpreted it. You'd have to read his book, but that's basically what it was. He had his faith, and I think that there should be respect, and I believe what Oliver Hardy said: if the whole world was polite, there'd be no war. And this is why I think it's important that politeness comes through all the way through,
And
and
forgiveness.
there wouldn't be, and forgiveness. That's right. That's right. And
E-
people
even the
admitting
worst
when they're wrong.
criminals,
That's
even
right.
the
I mean,
worst killers, if they
yeah,
ask for were repentant of what they did, truly repentant of what they did, you can forgive them. And
Mm.
yes, they'd have to give some sort of satisfaction for the crime that they committed, but still, I think even the worst crime can be forgiven to somebody who's repentant of what they did and
I
truly
agree with
sorry
you.
for it and
Well,
remorseful.
Jimmy Ball was one. He was a chap who was in Glasgow, came from Glasgow, and he actually killed somebody. And um, his future wife was a psychiatrist in the prison, and she said she saw something in him that people didn't see. And eventually, he came out of jail. He didn't. He got, I think it's 15 years, something like that. And he worked. He devoted his life into stopping youngsters going the way that he did. And he was one of the nicest people you could ever wish to hear. And I'm not sure. I think he went to the relatives, the people that he killed, and apologized to them. Now that takes something. That does. And
Hmm.
I think I think you're right. We can forgive. But when I talk about psychopaths, I do believe that they are a different breed. They're made that way. But I'm talking about a certain type that is predatory to humans. Not all psychopaths are. And to be polite to them, not be rude, but just literally put them on an island away from us so they can do whatever they want, but not with us because they think differently to us. And this is the reason we've got so many wars and
Well,
things like that.
part of the problem is you can't do that. You can't always do
Mm,
that because
that's
it's
right.
not possible, and that's where you have to have people step up and really force those people into some sort of a prison or some. I know you don't believe in prisons, but
Well,
it's
this
not
is
the
where
worst thing in the world to put them in a cell in a monastery somewhere and live a life of repentance.
well, this is where Survival Steve proved me wrong because he said that they'd have to be taken to this island by force, and he's correct, and I was wrong. He's quite right. They might have to, but again, use minimal force just to get them there, and that's it. Although I have spoken to other people saying, well, look, if they go on that island, there's always a chance that some future liberal elite will say, "Oh, let's release them," and you said you'd be landed back in the same problem again. So there's a good point there, but I do not believe in capital punishment. I just can't see the point of removing someone's
No.
life. That is, it's not our job to be God. It's our job to, you know.
Right.
But anyway, it's here. It's 11:20, and it's been very nice. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Patrick, and thank you very much
Yep.
to our two guests, Nathan Allenby and David Exo. And tomorrow we're hoping to have. I'm hoping to get the F in Farmer on to talk about this currency thing. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. So better stay
I like
tuned.
Nathan's idea. I like that idea of the say like the coffee shop having their own currency, and
I
you
like
come
it.
in and you want a loan, let's
Mm.
say, yeah, and you grant them currency in your own currency instead of having to have money on hand. You know, like a tab. I guess that's a
Mm.
tab, but I think that's a good form of
I do.
helping
And
people.
also, what they do in Turkey is if someone goes into a shop and there's a product, say, I don't know, say it's a coffee shop, and the coffee is $10, say, okay, they'll say, right, I'll pay 20 bucks and put 10 on
Yep.
the card,
Pay it
and
forward.
they pin it on the board, and someone who's poverty stricken can come in and get a free coffee.
Yeah.
But they
Pay
don't
it
know
forward. That's
who
called.
that's right, who the Good Samaritan was. It's a mystery who the Good Samaritan was. I think that's great. I think that could
It
work.
is.
I really do. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight, and please join us tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, same place, same time, same place. Please put the thumbs up, and please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel if you do subscribe. Tell others, and whatever that happens, have a bloody good laugh. And if you're in America, good afternoon. And I don't know if you've got anything to say to the audience, Patrick, before we close down.
Oh no. Thank you everybody, and it was a good broadcast.
Yes, I think it was. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. And whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.